Prologue: The Celestial Seed. Out there in the crazy, endless universe where galaxies spin like fireworks and stars pop in and out of existence, there's a clan that pretty much owns the place, the Otsutsuki. These guys, they're planet eaters, chakra thieves, cosmic bullies who show up, wreck everything, and then move on like it's just another Tuesday. Since forever, the Otsutsuki have been hopping across dimensions, their weird pale eyes watching worlds live and die. They show up on some poor planet, plant this giant god tree, and suck the life right out of it. The tree spits out a chakra fruit, which they gobble up to get even stronger. Cities crumble, oceans dry up, mountains turn to dust, all just fuel for their never-ending hunger. Planets become wastelands, skies go dark, and the only thing left is silence. Some folks worship them as gods, others curse them as demons, but it doesn't matter. The Otsutsuki don't care. They just keep moving, keep consuming, keep getting stronger. But even in a clan of monsters, there's always one who doesn't quite fit. One of them, she's different. She looks at all the destruction and feels something weird, guilt, maybe even hope. Instead of crushing it, she holds on to it, and in secret, she does the unthinkable. She creates a child, not just any kid, but one born from her own blood, pure Otsutsuki, but with a shot at being better, a chance to break the cycle, a tiny spark in all that darkness. When the clan gears up to destroy yet another world, she grabs her baby and runs. She tears through portals, dodges collapsing stars, chased by her own family who want her dead for betraying them. It's a wild, desperate escape, but she's got no choice. She races past dying suns and exploding galaxies, just a shadow in the chaos. Nebulae swirl behind her, colors bleeding into the void. The universe itself seems to hold its breath, watching her gamble everything. Finally, she finds it, a small blue planet, alive and untouched, Earth. She lands quietly, hiding in the shadows, and lays her baby down in a cradle of roots and leaves deep in a forest. She looks at her son, tiny and peaceful, totally clueless about the crazy power inside him. She brushes his cheek and whispers, "You're gonna be different, you're gonna be free." Up above, the stars watch as she seals away his true nature, making him look just like any other human kid. The Otsutsuki will come looking, but they won't find him. Not yet. He'll grow up normal, or as normal as he can, until he's ready to choose his own path. With one last look, she disappears into the night. Nobody knows what happens to her. And so, under a sky full of stars, the celestial seed is planted, a baby with god blood sleeping quietly on Earth. His name Naruto. He has no idea what's inside him or what's coming. Before all this hope, though, there was just destruction. The Otsutsuki's way of life is pure chaos. Worlds scream as they're drained dry, their energy sucked up by the god trees. The clan floats through the wreckage like ghosts, grabbing the fruits of their destruction without a second thought. They talk in some ancient language, their words heavy with power. To them, people are bugs, planets just stepping stones. Their eyes are cold, empty, like staring into space itself. Empires rise and fall in their shadow. Heroes die, legends fade, but the Otsutsuki, they just keep going, their hunger never stops. But even among these so-called gods, doubt can grow. Naruto's mom remembers a time before all the killing. She dreams of something better, where power doesn't come from destroying everything. Her rebellion is tiny, a whisper in a hurricane, but it's enough. She risks everything to save her son, to give him a shot at a real life, not just another weapon in the clan's arsenal, to plant a seed of change in a universe drowning in darkness. As she runs, the universe throws everything at her. Black holes open wide, stars explode, space twists and cracks. But she keeps going, wrapped in a cocoon of her own chakra, protecting her baby with everything she's got. Finally, Earth shows up, a little blue gem in all that black, safe, untouched. She crashes down like a shooting star, hidden by the night. In a quiet forest, she lays her son down, hiding him with powerful seals. She kisses his forehead, tears in her eyes. Live, she whispers, live free. She locks away his power deep inside him. The baby stirs, clueless about the storm inside. Above, the stars go back to watching. She's gone, her fate a mystery. And on this quiet planet, the seed of change takes root. A kid born from gods, destined to shake the universe. His name is Naruto. And his story just getting started. Meanwhile, out in space, the Otsutsuki are still hunting. Their pale eyes scan the stars, furious about the traitor and her kid. They rip through dimensions, burning everything in their way. They send monsters and shadows to search. Worlds burn, lives end, but Earth stays hidden, a tiny blue dot in a sea of black. Time passes, seasons change, the baby sleeps safe and sound. His power stays locked away, waiting. One day it'll wake up. One day, the Otsutsuki will find him. And on that day, everything will change. For now, the stars just watch. Naruto dreams beneath their gaze, clueless about what's coming. Clueless that he's the universe's last hope. Clueless that he's destined to take on the gods themselves. But Earth isn't just a hiding place, it's like a mom, too. The wind sings lullabies, the moon shines soft and kind. Nature itself protects him, keeping him safe from the monsters out there. Deep underground, ancient energies hum, connecting with the power inside Naruto. The planet's own chakra wraps around him, promising to wake up when he needs it most. Earth becomes his silent guardian. Far away, the Otsutsuki elders gather, huge and terrifying. They talk about revenge, betrayal, and the lost heir. Their voices shake the void, their anger sparks storms. They swear to find him, to crush the rebellion before it spreads. But destiny's got other plans. Naruto sleeps on, dreaming simple dreams. Inside him is the power to save or destroy worlds. The universe holds its breath. Because this is where the story really begins. A story about gods and humans, war and hope, and a kid who's gonna shake the stars. This is the story of the Otsutsuki's legacy, and the boy who's gonna challenge the universe itself. Chapter 1: The Hidden Truth. Naruto Uzumaki's life in Konoha was anything but normal. Sure, he looked like any other kid, blonde hair, blue eyes, a goofy grin plastered on his face most of the time. But deep down, he always felt different, like there was a wall between him and everyone else. And no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break through it. Every morning, he woke up alone in his tiny apartment. The place was a mess, empty ramen cups stacked on the table, clothes tossed everywhere, the faint smell of instant noodles hanging in the air. He'd stretch, yawn, and stare at the ceiling, wondering if today would be the day someone finally saw him for who he really was. Not the village troublemaker, not the prankster, but just Naruto. He'd pull on his orange jacket, tie his headband tight, and step outside. The sun was usually shining, birds chirping, the village bustling with life. But as soon as people saw him, the mood shifted. Conversations died, eyes narrowed, mothers pulled their kids away. Whispers followed him like a shadow. "That's the demon kid. Stay away from him. He's bad news." Naruto pretended not to care. He'd shove his hands in his pockets, whistle a tune, maybe plan his next prank. But inside it stung, every single time. Sometimes he'd catch his reflection in a shop window and wonder, why him? Why did everyone hate him? Why did he feel so wrong? School wasn't much better. The other kids kept their distance, except for a few. Sasuke Uchiha, the cool, quiet genius everyone admired, and Hinata Hyuga, the shy girl who blushed every time Naruto looked her way. Naruto tried to act tough around Sasuke, always challenging him, trying to prove he was just as good, but deep down he respected the guy. Sasuke was everything Naruto wanted to be: strong, respected, not alone. With Hinata, it was different. She was kind, gentle, and for some reason she didn't look at him with fear or hate. Sometimes when he was feeling really down, he'd catch her watching him with those big, soft eyes, and it made him feel less alone. Still, no matter what, that feeling of being different never went away. Sometimes weird things happened around Naruto, like the time he got so mad during training that the ground cracked beneath his feet, even though he hadn't used any jutsu. Or when he was running from Uroka-sensei after a prank, and suddenly he was on the other side of the village in a blink, like he'd just teleported. He never told anyone who would believe him, and honestly it freaked him out a little. Late at night he'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling something deep inside him, like a storm waiting to break free. It scared him, but it also made him curious. What was he really? One day, after another failed attempt to get Sasuke to spar with him, Naruto wandered off to the training grounds. He threw kunai at a target, missing more than he hit, frustration building inside him. "Why can't I get this right?" he muttered, kicking the dirt. Suddenly, the air around him shimmered. The trees seemed to bend away, the ground pulsed beneath his feet. For a split second, he felt weightless, like he was floating in space. Then it was gone. Naruto blinked, heart pounding. What the hell was that? He looked around, but no one else seemed to notice. Just another weird thing to add to the list. Later, he ran into Hinata near the market. She was carrying a basket of vegetables, cheeks pink as usual. "Hey Naruto," she stammered. "Yo Hinata," he grinned, scratching the back of his head. "What's up?" She looked down, fidgeting. I saw you at the training grounds. You looked different." Naruto's smile faltered. "Different how?" "I don't know, like you were glowing." He laughed it off. "Now you're seeing things." But inside, he was freaking out. Was she right? Was there something wrong with him? That night, Naruto sat on the roof of his apartment, staring up at the stars. The village was quiet, the moon hanging low and bright. "Who am I?" he whispered. "What am I?" He closed his eyes, trying to feel that strange power again. For a moment he thought he could reach it, touch it, but it slipped away like smoke through his fingers. The next day the village was buzzing with excitement. The Hokage had announced a festival to celebrate the end of the war. Stalls lined the streets, lanterns hung from every post, music filled the air. Naruto wandered through the crowd, trying to enjoy himself. He played some games, ate way too much ramen, even won a little toy frog. For a while he forgot about being different. He was just a kid having fun. But then he heard the whispers again. "Why is he here? Shouldn't he be locked up? He's dangerous." Naruto's good mood vanished. He clenched his fists, fighting back tears. Suddenly Sasuke appeared beside him. "Don't listen to them," Sasuke said quietly. Naruto blinked. "What?" "They don't know anything. You're stronger than they'll ever be." Naruto stared at him, surprised. Sasuke never said stuff like that. Before he could reply, Sasuke was gone, melting back into the crowd. Naruto smiled just a little. Maybe he wasn't as alone as he thought. As the sun set, the festival reached its peak. Fireworks exploded in the sky, painting it with colors. Everyone cheered, laughing and dancing. Naruto found a quiet spot on a hill overlooking the village. He lay back in the grass, watching the show. For the first time in a long time, he felt happy. But then everything changed. The sky darkened, swallowing the stars. The air grew heavy, crackling with energy. A strange, swirling light appeared above the village like a tear in the fabric of the universe. People screamed, pointing at the sky. Naruto sat up, heart pounding. The light grew brighter, pulsing with power. It felt familiar, like that storm inside him. Suddenly, a beam of light shot down, striking the Hokage monument. The ground shook, dust and debris flying everywhere. Naruto's vision blurred. He felt something inside him respond, like a door unlocking. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the light vanished. The sky cleared, the stars returned. But nothing felt the same. Naruto stared at his hands, trembling. "What was that?" he whispered. Deep inside, the storm roared to life. And for the first time, Naruto realized he wasn't just different. He was something else entirely. The villagers slowly gathered their wits, whispering about omens and curses. The Hokage ordered everyone home, promising answers he didn't have. Naruto slipped away, heart racing. That light, that power, it called to him. It felt like a part of him. He ran through the empty streets, past shuttered windows and dark alleys until he reached the training grounds. He stood there, breathing hard, staring up at the now calm sky. "Who am I?" he shouted. "What am I?" No answer came, just the soft rustle of leaves and the distant crackle of dying fireworks. But deep inside, something shifted. A secret long buried began to wake. And Naruto knew his life was about to change forever. But that wasn't the only thing on Naruto's mind. The next morning, he woke up feeling like he'd barely slept. His dreams were full of swirling lights and strange voices whispering things he couldn't understand. He dragged himself to the academy, where Uruka-sensei was already yelling at the class to settle down. Naruto slumped into his seat, head pounding. Sasuke shot him a sideways glance. "You look like crap." "Gee, thanks," Naruto muttered. "You see that weird light last night?" Naruto hesitated. "Yeah, freaked me out." Sasuke nodded. "Something coming, I can feel it." Naruto shivered. If Sasuke was worried, then it had to be serious. During lunch, Hinata shyly approached him again. "Naruto, are you okay?" He forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." She looked worried. "I heard the elders talking. They think it was a bad omen." Naruto's stomach twisted. "Figures." Hinata reached out, almost touching his hand, then pulled back. "I don't think you're bad, Naruto. I never have." He blinked, surprised. "Thanks, Hinata." She blushed and hurried away. Naruto watched her go, feeling a little better. Maybe not everyone hated him after all. After class, Naruto wandered the village, lost in thought. Everywhere he went, people were talking about the light, about curses and demons and the end of the world. He tried to ignore it, but the whispers followed him. He ended up back at the training grounds, staring at the spot where he'd felt that weird power before. "What are you?" he whispered to himself. "What am I?" He closed his eyes, reaching deep inside. For a moment he felt it, that storm, swirling and wild, just out of reach. Then it was gone. Naruto opened his eyes, frustrated. "Come on," he muttered. "Show me." "Nothing." He kicked a rock, sending it flying. Suddenly Uruka's voice called out, "Naruto." He turned startled, "Sensei." Uruka jogged over looking serious. "You okay?" Naruto shrugged, "Yeah, I guess." Uruka studied him. "You saw the light last night?" Naruto nodded. Uruka sighed, "Strange things are happening, be careful, okay?" Naruto frowned, Do you think it has something to do with me?" Uruka hesitated, "I don't know, but whatever happens, you're still Naruto, remember that?" Naruto nodded slowly, "Yeah." Uruka ruffled his hair, "Get some rest." As Uruka walked away, Naruto felt a little lighter. Maybe he wasn't alone in this after all. That night, Naruto climbed back onto his roof, staring at the stars. Somewhere out there he knew were answers. Somewhere out there was the truth about who he was. And he was going to find it. No matter what. But the days that followed were anything but normal. The village was tense, everyone on edge. Rumors spread like wildfire about demons, curses, and the end of days. Naruto tried to keep his head down, but it was impossible. Everywhere he went, people stared, whispered, pointed. He spent more time alone, wandering the outskirts of the village, lost in thought. Sometimes he'd find himself at the old training grounds, just staring at the sky. Other times he'd sit by the river, tossing stones and watching the ripples fade away. He felt like those ripples, small, powerless, fading into nothing. But deep down he knew there was more. He just had to find it. One afternoon, he ran into Sasuke again. The other boy was training hard, sweat pouring down his face. Naruto watched for a while, then called out, "Hey, wanna spar?" Sasuke paused, wiped his brow. "You serious?" "Yeah." Sasuke smirked, "Fine, don't cry when you lose." Naruto grinned, "Bring it on." They clashed, fists and feet flying. For a moment, everything else faded away. No whispers, no doubts. Just the thrill of the fight. Sasuke was good, really good, but Naruto was stubborn. He refused to back down. Finally, they both collapsed, gasping for breath. Sasuke looked over, "You're not bad." Naruto laughed, "You too." For the first time, he felt like he belonged. Even if just for a moment. Later, as the sun set, Naruto sat alone, watching the sky turn orange and pink. He thought about the weird light, the strange power inside him, the whispers and stares. He didn't have all the answers. But he had something else. Hope. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. For now, Naruto's days blurred together after the festival. The whispers and stares never stopped, but he was getting used to it, or at least he told himself he was. Deep down, the loneliness still hurt, but he kept pushing forward, stubborn as ever. He spent more time wandering the village outskirts, exploring the forests and rivers beyond the walls. Sometimes he'd climb the tallest trees just to get away from it all, to breathe in the fresh air and pretend he was somewhere else, someone else. One afternoon, he found himself deep in the woods, far from any path. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting shifting patterns on the ground. Naruto sat on a fallen log, tossing pebbles and thinking about everything that had happened. The weird flashes of power, the dreams, the voices. And that light in the sky. "What am I?" he whispered again. Suddenly, a rustling in the bushes snapped him out of his thoughts. He jumped to his feet, "Kanai ready." A wild boar burst out, snorting and pawing the ground. Naruto grinned, "You wanna go, piggy?" The boar charged. Naruto dodged easily, flipping over its back and landing behind it. He felt that strange energy bubbling up again, making him faster, stronger. With a quick move, he knocked the boar aside. It scrambled up and ran off, squealing. Naruto laughed, feeling alive. Maybe this power wasn't so bad after all. Back in the village, things were tense. The elders were arguing, the Hokage was worried, and everyone else was scared. Naruto overheard snippets of conversation as he passed. Bad omen. Demon child. End of days. He clenched his fists, fighting the urge to scream. Instead, he went to Ikaraku Ramen, his favorite place in the whole village. Chuchai, the owner, smiled when he saw him. "Hey Naruto," the usual. Naruto grinned, "You bet." As he slurped down his noodles, he felt normal for once, just a kid enjoying his favorite food. I am Chuchai's daughter, brought him seconds without even asking. "You okay, Naruto?" she asked softly. He shrugged, "Yeah, just tired of everyone treating me like a monster." She smiled gently, "You're not a monster, you're just Naruto." He blinked, surprised, "Thanks, I am." For a moment, the weight on his shoulders felt a little lighter. That night, the dreams came back, stronger than ever. He was floating in space again, stars swirling around him, voices whispered, calling his name. He saw flashes of strange places, giant trees, burning worlds, pale figures with eyes like his. One of them reached out, face hidden in shadow. Come home, the voice said, join us. Naruto shook his head, no, this is my home. The figure's eyes glowed, you cannot escape what you are. Naruto screamed and woke up drenched in sweat. He sat up, heart pounding. What am I? He whispered. But no answer came. The next day he went to the Hokage's office. He hesitated outside the door, then knocked. Come in, the old man's voice called. Naruto stepped inside, fidgeting nervously. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked up from his paperwork, smiling kindly. Ah, Naruto, what brings you here? Naruto swallowed hard. Old man, do you know what that light was, the one during the festival? The Hokage's smile faded. We're still investigating, it was unusual. Naruto hesitated. Do you think it has something to do with me? Hiruzen studied him for a long moment. Why do you ask? Naruto looked down. Because weird things keep happening around me and I keep having these dreams about other worlds, other people, they call to me. The Hokage's eyes softened. Naruto, sometimes our dreams are just dreams, but sometimes they're more. Naruto looked up desperate. So what am I? Hiruzen sighed. You are Naruto Uzumaki, that's all that matters. Naruto clenched his fists. But what if I'm something else, something bad? Hiruzen stood and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. No matter what, you are still you, remember that. Naruto nodded slowly. Yeah. But deep down the doubts remained. Chapter 2, Shadows of the Past, Part 1. Inside the Hokage's office, the air was thick with tension. The elders of Konoha had gathered in a tight circle, their faces grim as they whispered about the strange light that had torn through the sky during the festival. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, looked older than ever as he listened to their worried voices. His pipe sat cold on the desk, forgotten. That light was no ordinary phenomenon, Himura said, voice sharp. It was a sign, an omen. Koharu nodded. The villagers are terrified. They think it's a curse or worse, a warning. Danzo's single eye narrowed. We all know what this is really about, the boy. Naruto. The name hung heavy in the room. Hiruzen's jaw tightened. Naruto is just a child. A child with something dangerous inside him, Danzo shot back. We've kept the truth hidden for years, but now this event proves he's a threat. Himura folded his arms. The people are scared. If we don't act, panic will spread. Koharu added quietly, perhaps it's time we reconsidered how closely we watch him. Hiruzen's gaze hardened. He's not a monster, he's a boy who's suffered enough. Danzo snorted. Sentiment has no place here. If that light is connected to him, we need to be ready. Ready for what? Hiruzen challenged. To contain him, Danzo said coldly, or eliminate him if necessary. The room fell silent. Hiruzen's fists clenched. We will do no such thing. Naruto is under my protection. Danzo's lips curled in a sneer. Your compassion blinds you, old friend. Himura broke in, voice softer. We're not saying harm him, just watch him closely. Koharu nodded, for the safety of the village. Hiruzen closed his eyes for a moment, then nodded reluctantly. Fine, we'll keep an eye on him, but no more. Danzo said nothing, but the look in his eye promised this wasn't over. Outside, the village was still buzzing with rumors. People whispered about demons and curses about the end of days. Fear was a living thing, crawling through the streets. Hidden in the shadows, ANBU agents watched Naruto's every move, just as the elders had ordered. Naruto, of course, had no idea. He was too busy trying to figure out who or what he really was. In the Hokage's office, the elders continued their debate. What if the boy loses control? Himura asked quietly. Then we'll be ready, Danzo said. Hiruzen's voice was steel. He's not a weapon, he's a child. A child with power beyond our understanding, Koharu said softly. We can't ignore that. Hiruzen looked out the window, watching the sun rise over the village. We won't ignore it, he said finally, but we won't condemn him either. The elders nodded, some reluctantly. The meeting ended, but the tension remained. Naruto woke up that morning feeling restless. The dreams had been worse than ever, full of swirling lights and strange voices. He shook it off, got dressed, and headed out. He didn't notice the ANBU watching from the rooftops. Didn't hear the whispers that followed him. Didn't see the worried looks on the villagers' faces. All he knew was that he needed to train, to get stronger, to figure out what was happening to him. He headed for the training grounds, determination burning in his eyes. Unaware of the storm brewing around him. Unaware of the secrets the elders were hiding. Unaware that his life was about to change forever. End of Chapter 2, Part 1 ***. Naruto's feet pounded the dirt path as he made his way to the training grounds, trying to shake off the weird dreams and the heavy feeling in his chest. The village was waking up, but he barely noticed. All he could think about was getting stronger, pushing past whatever was holding him back. He reached the clearing and took a deep breath. The air was cool, the grass damp with morning dew. For a moment he just stood there, listening to the quiet. Then he got to work. He started with basic exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, running laps around the clearing. Sweat dripped down his face, muscles burning, but he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. Not until he understood what was happening to him. Not until he was strong enough to control it. Back in the village, the elders hadn't dispersed. They gathered in a private chamber, voices low and urgent. "We can't ignore the possibility that the boy is connected to the celestial event," Himura said. Koharu nodded. "If he is, then he's more dangerous than we thought." Danzo's voice was cold. "We should have dealt with him years ago." Hiruzen's eyes flashed. "Enough, Naruto is not the enemy." "Not yet," Danzo muttered. Himura sighed. "We need more information about the light, about the boy." Koharu added, "And about his origins." Hiruzen's gaze darkened. "Some things are better left buried." Danzo smirked. "Secrets have a way of coming to light, old friend." The room fell silent. Outside, the village carried on, unaware of the storm brewing behind closed doors. Naruto finished his warm-ups and moved on to target practice. He threw kunai and shuriken at a battered log, each throw harder than the last. Thunk, thunk, thunk. His aim was off, his hands trembled. Frustration bubbled up inside him. "Come on," he muttered, "get it together." He closed his eyes, trying to focus. But all he saw were flashes of light, swirling stars, strange faces calling his name. His eyes snapped open. He hurled a kunai with all his strength. It hit the target dead center and split the log in half. Naruto stared, stunned. "What the?" He looked down at his hands, heart pounding. Something was happening to him. Something he didn't understand. In the shadows, an AMBU agent watched silently, reporting everything back to the elders. Naruto took a shaky breath and tried again. This time, the kunai buried itself deep into a tree trunk, splintering the bark. He felt that strange energy bubbling up inside him, wild and uncontrollable. His vision blurred, the world seemed to tilt. He stumbled back, gasping. "No," he whispered, "not now." But it was too late. The power surged through him like a tidal wave. His skin prickled, eyes burning. The ground beneath his feet cracked, spiderwebs of dirt and stone spreading outwards. Trees bent away from him, leaves rustling in a sudden, unnatural wind. Naruto screamed, clutching his head. "Stop," he cried, "please stop." The energy exploded outward in a shockwave, flattening the grass and sending debris flying. Then just as suddenly it was gone. Naruto collapsed to his knees, trembling. Breathing hard. Terrified. What was that?" he whispered. In the distance, the ANBU agent vanished, racing back to report. Back in the village, the elders felt the surge. Amura's eyes widened. "Did you feel that?" Koharu nodded, face pale. "It's begun." Danzo's lips curled into a thin smile. "I told you, the boy is a threat." Hiruzen's heart sank. Naruto was changing. And no one knew what would happen next. Unaware of the chaos he'd caused, Naruto knelt in the dirt, tears streaming down his face. "I'm a freak," he whispered, "a monster." Fear and confusion twisted inside him. He didn't want this. He just wanted to be normal. But deep down, he knew those days were over. End of Chapter 2, Part 1 extended. Naruto stayed on his knees, gasping for breath as the dust slowly settled around him. The training ground was a wreck, trees splintered, earth torn apart, kunai scattered everywhere. It looked like a storm had hit, and in a way it had. His storm. He wiped his eyes with a trembling hand, trying to steady his breathing. "What's wrong with me?" he whispered. In the shadows, the ANBU agents exchanged uneasy glances. They had seen a lot in their time, but nothing like this. One of them vanished to report back, while the others kept watch, unsure if Naruto was still a threat or just a scared kid. Back in the village, the elders gathered again, this time with even more urgency. "That surge was no ordinary chakra," Himura said, voice tight. "It felt alien." Koharu nodded, "like nothing I've sensed before." Danzo's eye gleamed, proof that the boy is not what he seems. Hiruzen's face was grave. "He's still Naruto, but this changes things." "We need to know what he is," Danzo insisted, "before it's too late." Hiruzen's jaw clenched. "We will investigate, but we will not harm him." Danzo said nothing, but his silence was heavy with threat. Naruto finally forced himself to stand. His legs shook, but he stayed upright. He looked around at the destruction he'd caused and felt sick. I did this, he whispered, me. Memories flashed through his mind, lonely nights, angry villagers, the whispers and glares. And now this. He hugged himself, shivering despite the warm sun. I'm a monster, he said softly, just like they said. But another voice inside him whispered, no, you're more. Naruto shook his head, trying to clear it. He didn't want to be more. He just wanted to be normal. Suddenly he heard footsteps behind him. He spun around, kana in hand. Uroka stood there, hands raised. Easy, Naruto, it's just me. Naruto's grip loosened. Sensei. Uroka looked around at the wrecked clearing, eyes wide. What happened here? Naruto looked down. I don't know, I lost control. Uroka stepped closer, voice gentle. Are you hurt? Naruto shook his head. No, but I think I hurt everything else. Uroka put a hand on his shoulder. It's okay, we'll figure this out. Naruto's eyes filled with tears. What if I'm dangerous? What if I hurt someone? Uroka squeezed his shoulder. You're not alone, Naruto will help you, I promise. Naruto nodded slowly, hope flickering in his chest. Maybe he wasn't a monster after all. As they walked back toward the village, Naruto glanced over his shoulder at the ruined training ground. He didn't know what he was. Didn't know what was happening to him. But he knew one thing. He wasn't giving up. Not now. Not ever. In the Hokage's office, Hiruzen stared out the window, deep in thought. The boy's power was growing. And so was the danger. But so was the hope. Because maybe, just maybe, Naruto could be more than a weapon. Maybe he could be a hero. Far away beyond the stars, something stirred. A presence awakened, sensing the surge of Otsutsuki power on Earth. Eyes opened in the darkness. A voice whispered. He's alive. And the hunt began. End of Chapter 2 *. Chapter 3 The Sky Falls Part 1. It started with a shadow. One moment the sky over Konoha was clear and bright, the sun shining down on a peaceful day. The next, darkness swept across the village like a wave, blotting out the light. People looked up, confused and afraid. And then they saw them. Massive alien ships, white and bone-like, covered in strange, glowing symbols, hung in the sky like silent gods. Their presence was overwhelming, suffocating. They blocked out the sun, casting the entire village into an unnatural twilight. For a heartbeat, everything was silent. Then chaos erupted. Villagers screamed and ran for cover. Mothers grabbed their children. Shopkeepers abandoned their stalls. Shinobi raced to their posts. The air filled with panic and confusion. What are those? Is it an attack? Run! The Hokage's face appeared on every emergency broadcast screen, voice urgent. All civilians, evacuate immediately. Shinobi, prepare for battle. But even his calm authority couldn't stop the fear. Because no one had ever seen anything like this. Inside the Hokage's office, Hiruzen stared out the window, eyes wide with shock. It can't be, he whispered. Amira and Koharu rushed in, faces pale. What is happening? Koharu gasped. Hiruzen's voice was grim. The Otsutsuki. Danzo appeared, eye narrowed, so the stories were true. Hiruzen nodded slowly, and now they're here. Amira's voice trembled. What do they want? Hiruzen's gaze hardened. Naruto. In the streets, ANBU agents herded civilians toward shelters. Jonin barked orders, trying to restore some semblance of order. But the ships just hung there, silent and menacing. Waiting. Watching. Naruto was in the training grounds when the sky went dark. He looked up, heart pounding. What is that? He stumbled back, eyes wide as the massive ships appeared overhead. Fear and confusion twisted inside him. Were they here because of him? Because of what he was? Suddenly, beams of light shot down from the ships, slamming into the ground with explosive force. Buildings shattered, streets cracked open, fire and smoke filled the air. People screamed, running in every direction. Naruto's heart pounded. He wanted to run. He wanted to hide. But he couldn't move. He was frozen, staring up at the nightmare unfolding above him. In the Hokage's office, alarms blared. Hiruzen turned to his advisors. Prepare the defenses, now. Danzo's voice was cold. We should hand the boy over, it might stop this. Hiruzen glared at him. We will not sacrifice a child. Amira nodded. We fight. Koharu's voice was shaky but firm. For the village. Hiruzen nodded. For the village. Outside, shinobi gathered in the streets, weapons drawn, faces grim. They had faced many threats before, but nothing like this. Nothing so otherworldly. Naruto finally tore his gaze away from the sky. He looked around at the chaos, the destruction, the fear. And he felt something inside him shift. A spark of anger. A surge of determination. He clenched his fists. "I won't let them hurt my home," he whispered. Even if he didn't understand what he was. Even if he was afraid. He wouldn't run. Not this time. Above, the ships began to open. Figures emerged, tall, pale, with eyes like his. The Otsutsuki. They floated down from the ships like gods descending from the heavens. Silent. Implacable. Deadly. Naruto stared up at them, heart pounding. Were these his people? His family? Or his enemies? He didn't know. All he knew was that they were here. And everything was about to change. End of Chapter 3, Part 1 *. The ships loomed even larger now, their surfaces shifting and pulsing with strange energy. Some villagers fell to their knees, praying or sobbing, convinced the world was ending. Others ran blindly, trampling stalls and knocking over carts in their panic. Children cried, clutching their parents. Old men and women stared up in horror, whispering ancient prayers. The entire village was drowning in chaos. From the Hokage's tower, Hiruzen watched grimly. He could see the fear spreading like wildfire. He could feel the oppressive weight of the invaders pressing down on the village. "They're toying with us," he muttered. Danzo's voice was cold. "They want us to surrender." Himura's hands trembled, "or to break us before they strike." Koharu's eyes were wide with fear. "Can we even fight something like this?" Hiruzen's jaw clenched. "We have no choice." Naruto's heart pounded as he watched the ships open, revealing the pale, godlike figures of the Otsutsuki. He felt a strange pull inside him, like a voice whispering in his blood. Part of him wanted to run. Part of him wanted to scream. And part of him wanted to join them. He shook his head violently. "No," he whispered, "I'm not like them." But deep down he wasn't sure. Suddenly, one of the ships fired another beam of light, obliterating a row of houses. The shockwave knocked Naruto off his feet. He hit the ground hard, gasping for air. All around him, people screamed and ran. The world was ending, and he was powerless to stop it. He forced himself to his feet, eyes burning with tears. "I won't let them win," he whispered. Even if he didn't know how. Even if he was terrified. He wouldn't give up. Not now. Not ever. Above, the Otsutsuki floated down from their ships, silent and deadly. Their eyes swept over the village with cold indifference. To them, this was nothing. Just another world to conquer. Another people to crush. Naruto watched them descend, heart pounding. Were these his family? Or his enemies? He didn't know. All he knew was that they were here. And everything was about to change. End of Chapter 3, Part 1 extended. The Otsutsuki invaders touched down in the ruined streets, their pale eyes scanning the chaos with chilling calm. Then all at once they attacked. Beams of energy shot from their hands, tearing through buildings and streets. Explosions rocked the village, sending debris flying. Shinobi leapt into action, racing to defend their home. Kakashi appeared in a blur, sharing and blazing. He deflected a blast with his kunai, then countered with a lightning-fast strike. Guy charged in, fists glowing with chakra, smashing through rubble to reach the enemy. Asuma and Kurenai fought side by side, weaving jutsu and taijutsu in perfect sync. ANBU squads darted through the smoke, launching coordinated attacks. But the Otsutsuki were relentless. They moved like ghosts, dodging every strike, countering with devastating force. One flick of a wrist sent a squad flying. A single glance shattered a wall. Their power was overwhelming. Naruto watched in horror as the battle unfolded. He saw friends and mentors fighting desperately, risking everything. He saw the village he loved burning. And he felt helpless. Useless. A monster on the sidelines. Suddenly, an Otsutsuki warrior turned toward him. Their eyes met. Naruto felt a jolt of recognition and fear. The warrior smiled coldly. Then lunged. Naruto barely dodged, rolling away as the ground exploded where he'd stood. He scrambled to his feet, heart pounding. The warrior advanced, slow and deliberate. Naruto raised his fists, trembling. "I won't let you hurt my home," he whispered. The warrior laughed softly. "Pathetic." He struck. Naruto blocked the blow, but the force sent him flying. He crashed into a wall, gasping for air. Pain shot through his body. but he forced himself to stand. Again and again. All around him the battle raged. Shinobi fell wounded or worse. The village burned. The Otsutsuki pressed forward unstoppable. Naruto's vision blurred with tears. I have to help, he whispered, I have to. But the power inside him stayed silent. Locked away. Out of reach. Suddenly a scream cut through the chaos. Naruto turned to see Hinata pinned beneath a fallen beam, struggling to free herself. An Otsutsuki warrior raised a hand, energy crackling. No, Naruto shouted. He ran faster than he ever had before. He reached Hinata just as the warrior fired. He threw himself in front of her, bracing for impact. But nothing came. He opened his eyes. The energy blast hung frozen in the air, inches from his face. Time seemed to stop. Then with a roar, the power inside him exploded outward. The blast shattered, energy crackling around him. The Otsutsuki warrior staggered back, eyes wide. Naruto's body glowed with strange, swirling light. Power surged through him, wild and uncontrollable. He screamed as it tore through him. The ground cracked. The air shimmered. The Otsutsuki stepped back, wary now. Naruto fell to his knees, gasping. The power faded. But the warrior was gone. Hinata crawled to his side, eyes wide with fear and awe. Naruto, what was that? He shook his head, trembling. I don't know. All around them the battle raged on. Kakashi appeared beside them, bloodied but unbowed. Get to safety, he ordered. Naruto shook his head. I want to fight. Kakashi's gaze softened. You will, but not yet. He turned and vanished back into the fray. Naruto helped Hinata to her feet. They looked around at the burning village, the fallen shinobi, the unstoppable enemy. Naruto clenched his fists. I won't run, he whispered, not this time. Hinata nodded, tears in her eyes. Me neither. Above, the Otsutsuki ships loomed, silent and deadly. More warriors descended, joining the battle. The sky burned with fire and lightning. The ground shook with explosions. The village was a war zone. And it was only the beginning. End of Chapter 3, Part 2 *. Chapter 4, Blood and Bonds. Naruto's body still glowed faintly with the strange, swirling light as he helped Hinata to her feet. The village around them was chaos, fire, smoke, screams, and the relentless assault of the Otsutsuki invaders. Suddenly, a massive chunk of debris hurtled toward a group of wounded shinobi. Without thinking, Naruto sprinted forward, power surging inside him. He raised his hands and the debris froze midair, suspended by an invisible force. Gasps echoed around him. Naruto clenched his fists and the rubble shattered harmlessly into dust. The shinobi stared at him wide-eyed. Did he just? That was incredible. But some faces twisted with fear. What is he? Naruto ignored them, turning back to Hinata. You okay? She nodded shakily, thanks to you. He smiled, relief flooding through him. Nearby, Sasuke was locked in battle with an Otsutsuki warrior. Lightning crackled around him as he dodged a deadly blast and countered with a Chidori. Naruto saw him struggling and ran to help. He leapt between Sasuke and the enemy, catching a beam of energy with his bare hands. The power inside him flared, absorbing the attack. Sasuke's eyes widened. Naruto. Naruto grinned, got your back, team. Together, they launched a furious assault, forcing the Otsutsuki back. For a moment, it felt like old times, two friends fighting side by side, unstoppable. But the battle was far from over. More Otsutsuki descended, overwhelming the defenders. Naruto pushed himself harder, tapping deeper into the strange power. He moved faster, hit harder, shielded allies with barriers of swirling energy. Everywhere he went, he saved lives. And everywhere he went, people stared. Some with awe, some with fear. At one point, a young genin was cornered by an Otsutsuki warrior. Naruto appeared in a flash, grabbing the enemy and hurling him away with impossible strength. The genin stared up at him, trembling. Thank you. Naruto smiled gently, get to safety. The boy nodded and ran. But as Naruto turned away, he heard whispers. Did you see that? He's not human. What is he? Naruto's heart twisted. The battle raged on. Naruto fought like a demon, saving comrades, driving back the invaders. But every time he used his power, the whispers grew louder. Fear spread through the ranks. Some shinobi flinched away from him. Others stared with suspicion. Is he one of them? Is he on our side? Finally, the Otsutsuki began to retreat, regrouping near their ships. The village was in ruins, but the defenders had survived. For now, Naruto stood in the middle of the destruction, chest heaving, power flickering around him. All eyes turned to him, some filled with gratitude, others with fear. The Hokage arrived, flanked by A and BU. He looked at Naruto, eyes troubled. "You saved many lives today," he said quietly. Naruto nodded, exhausted. "I just did what I had to." Hiruzen's gaze softened. "Thank you." But behind him, whispers spread. "Is he one of them? Did he bring this on us?" "Monster!" Naruto's heart sank. Sasuke stepped forward, glaring at the crowd. "He's not a monster," he said coldly. "He's Naruto." Hinata moved to Naruto's side, voice trembling but firm. "He saved us all." Some people looked ashamed. Others just looked afraid. Naruto clenched his fists, fighting back tears. Later, as the fires died down and the wounded were tended, Naruto sat alone on a broken wall. Sasuke approached quietly. "You okay, Dobi?" Naruto shrugged. "I don't know." Sasuke sat beside him. "You saved a lot of people." "Yeah, and now they're all scared of me." Sasuke snorted. "People fear what they don't understand." Naruto looked down. "Maybe I'm just too different." Sasuke punched his shoulder lightly. "You're still you, idiot." Naruto smiled weakly. "Thanks." Hinata joined them, sitting on Naruto's other side. She took his hand gently. "You're a hero, Naruto, don't forget that." Naruto's cheeks flushed. "Hinata." He smiled shyly. "It's true." For a moment the fear and doubt faded. He wasn't alone. He had friends. People who believed in him. But as he looked out over the ruined village, the whispers still echoed in his mind. Monster. Demon. Alien. He didn't know what he was. Didn't know what he would become. But he knew one thing. He wouldn't give up. Not now. Not ever. Far above, the Otsutsuki ships hovered silently, watching. Waiting. Plotting their next move. And deep inside Naruto, the strange power stirred. Hungry. Restless. Ready to awaken. End of chapter 4 *. As the night deepened, the fires in the village slowly died down, leaving behind smoldering ruins and a heavy silence. Naruto wandered through the wreckage, helping where he could. He lifted fallen beams with ease, his strange power flickering around him. He carried wounded shinobi to safety, ignoring their fearful stares. He shielded children from falling debris, even as their parents pulled them away in fear. Everywhere he went, he saw the same thing. Gratitude. And fear. At one point, he found a little girl trapped under a collapsed wall. She was crying, calling for her mother. Naruto knelt beside her. "Hey, it's okay, I'm gonna get you out." He placed his hands on the rubble. Power surged through him, and the stones lifted effortlessly. The girl stared up at him, eyes wide. You're glowing," she whispered. Naruto smiled gently. "Don't be scared." He lifted her out and carried her to her mother, who snatched her away, eyes full of terror. "Stay away from us," she cried. Naruto's heart twisted. He turned away, blinking back tears. He found Sasuke tending to wounded shinobi, face grim. Naruto approached slowly. Sasuke looked up. "You okay?" Naruto shrugged. "I don't know." Sasuke nodded. "Me neither." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Sasuke said quietly, "You saved a lot of people." Naruto looked down, and scared just as many. Sasuke snorted. "People are idiots." Naruto smiled weakly. "Yeah." Hinata appeared, carrying bandages and supplies. She smiled shyly at Naruto. "You were amazing." Naruto blushed. "I just did what I had to." Hinata touched his arm gently. "You're a hero." Naruto's cheeks burned. "Thanks, Hinata." Sasuke smirked. "She's right, you know." Naruto laughed softly. "Maybe." Suddenly, a group of villagers approached, faces twisted with fear and anger. "That thing isn't human," one man spat. "He's one of them," a woman cried. "He brought this on us." Naruto stepped back, heart pounding. Sasuke moved in front of him, eyes cold. "Back off." Hinata stood beside him, trembling but defiant. "Naruto saved us." The villagers hesitated, fear warring with anger. Then they turned and walked away, muttering curses. Naruto watched them go, shoulders slumping. Later, he sat alone on a rooftop, staring up at the stars. His mind raced with doubts and fears. Was he a hero? Or a monster? Did he belong here? Or was he just an invader like them? Sasuke found him there, silent as a shadow. "You're thinking too much," he said quietly. Naruto snorted. "Easy for you to say." Sasuke sat beside him. "You're not one of them." Naruto looked away. How do you know? Because you care, Sasuke said simply. They don't. Naruto blinked surprised. Sasuke smirked. You're annoying, loud, reckless, but you're not a monster. Naruto smiled weakly. Thanks, Sasuke. Hinata joined them, sitting on Naruto's other side. She took his hand gently. You're Naruto, she said softly. That's all that matters. Naruto's cheeks flushed. Hinata. She smiled shyly. We believe in you. For a moment the fear and doubt faded. He wasn't alone. He had friends. People who believed in him. But as he looked out over the ruined village, the whispers still echoed in his mind. Monster. Demon. Alien. He didn't know what he was. Didn't know what he would become. But he knew one thing. He wouldn't give up. Not now. Not ever. Far above, the Otsutsuki ships hovered silently, watching. Waiting. Plotting their next move. And deep inside Naruto, the strange power stirred. Hungry. Restless. Ready to awaken. End of Chapter 4 extended. Chapter 5 The Enemy Within. Naruto sat alone on the Hokage monument, staring out over the ruined village. The fires had died, but smoke still curled into the night sky. His hands trembled as he remembered the power that had exploded out of him, the destruction he'd caused, the fear in everyone's eyes. Who am I? What am I? Memories flashed through his mind, visions of stars, strange voices calling his name, pale figures with eyes like his. He squeezed his eyes shut, trying to block it out. But the truth pressed in on him, relentless. He wasn't just Naruto Uzumaki. He was something else. Something alien. Something dangerous. Footsteps crunched behind him. He turned to see Sasuke approaching, face shadowed. You okay? Sasuke asked quietly. Naruto shook his head. No, I don't think I ever will be. Sasuke sat beside him. You're not the only one with darkness inside. Naruto laughed bitterly. Mine's not just darkness, it's something else, something not human. Sasuke was silent for a moment. Does it matter? Naruto looked at him surprised. What? Does it matter what you are? Sasuke said softly. Or does it matter what you do? Naruto stared at his hands. I don't know. Sasuke punched his shoulder lightly. Figure it out, because the village needs you. Naruto nodded slowly. Yeah. Later, Hinata found him sitting alone in the rubble. She knelt beside him, eyes full of worry. Are you hurt? She whispered. Naruto shook his head. Not on the outside. Hinata touched his hand gently. You saved us. Naruto's voice cracked. Or doomed us. She squeezed his hand. I don't believe that. Naruto looked away. I'm not human, Hinata. I'm something else, something wrong. Hinata's eyes filled with tears. You're Naruto, that's all that matters. Naruto's throat tightened. How can you say that? Because I know you, she whispered, better than anyone. Naruto closed his eyes, fighting tears. Thank you, he whispered. As dawn broke, Naruto wandered the empty streets, lost in thought. Everywhere he looked, he saw reminders of the battle. Broken walls. Burned homes. Bloodstains on the ground. And everywhere whispers. Monster. Demon. Alien. He clenched his fists, anger and shame warring inside him. Suddenly a voice echoed in his mind. You're Otsutsuki. Naruto froze. You're one of us. No, he whispered, I'm not. You cannot escape your blood. Naruto screamed, shut up. The voice faded, but the doubt remained. He stumbled into the forest, desperate to escape. He ran until his legs gave out, collapsing beneath a tree. Tears streamed down his face. I don't want this, he whispered. I don't want to be a monster. But deep down, he feared it was too late. Hours passed. Finally, he forced himself to stand. He wiped his eyes and took a shaky breath. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, he said softly, no matter what. His voice grew stronger. I don't care what's in my blood. I don't care where I came from. I'm me. And I'm going to protect this village. No matter what. He turned and walked back toward Konoha, resolve burning in his chest. He would fight. He would protect. He would never give up. Because that's who he was. Naruto Uzumaki. Back in the village, Sasuke and Hinata waited anxiously. When they saw Naruto return, something in his eyes had changed. New strength. New determination. Sasuke smirked, about time, Dobi. Hinata smiled softly, welcome back. Naruto grinned, I'm not going anywhere. Far above, the Otsutsuki ships hovered, silent and deadly. Watching. Waiting. Plotting. But Naruto didn't care. He would face them. He would protect his home, no matter what. End of chapter 5 asterisk. Naruto wandered the village for hours, lost in thought. He passed by the academy, the ramen shop, the playground where he used to watch other kids play. Everywhere he went, memories haunted him. The loneliness, the whispers, the pain, and now the truth. He was Otsutsuki, an alien, monster. Or was he? He found himself back at the training grounds, staring at the shattered trees and scorched earth. This was where it had all started, where his power had first exploded out of control. He clenched his fists, anger and fear swirling inside him. I won't be a monster, he whispered. I won't. Suddenly Sasuke appeared beside him. You're still brooding, huh? Naruto snorted. Easy for you to say. Sasuke shrugged. I've got my own demons. Naruto looked away. At least you're human. Sasuke was silent for a moment. Doesn't matter. Naruto frowned. How can you say that? Sasuke met his gaze. Because you're still you, idiot. Naruto blinked, surprised. Sasuke smirked. You're annoying, loud, reckless, but you're my friend. Naruto's throat tightened. Thanks, Sasuke. Sasuke looked away, embarrassed. Just don't make me say it again. Naruto laughed softly. Deal. Later, Hinata found him sitting beneath a tree, lost in thought. She knelt beside him, eyes gentle. You're hurting, she whispered. Naruto nodded. Yeah. Hinata took his hand. You don't have to be alone. Naruto's voice cracked. I'm scared, Hinata. What if I lose control again? What if I hurt someone? Hinata squeezed his hand. Then we'll help you. We won't let you fall. Naruto looked at her, tears in his eyes. Why do you believe in me? She smiled softly. Because you never gave up on me. Naruto's heart twisted. Thank you. Hinata hugged him tightly. You're not a monster, you're Naruto. Naruto hugged her back, clinging to her warmth. As night fell, Naruto climbed to the top of the Hokage monument again. He looked out over the village, lights flickering in the darkness. His village. His home. No matter what his blood said. No matter what the voices whispered. He was Naruto Uzumaki. And he would protect this place. No matter what. Far above, the Otsutsuki ships hovered, silent and deadly. Watching. Waiting. Plotting. But Naruto didn't care. He would face them. He would fight. He would never give up. Because that's who he was. End of chapter 5 extended. Chapter 6 The Gathering Storm. The news spread like wildfire. The Otsutsuki had invaded. Konoha was in ruins. And the world was next. In hidden villages across the continent, alarms blared and messengers raced. The 5 Kage called an emergency summit. For the first time since the last Great War, the leaders of every major village gathered in one place. Gaara of the Sand, calm and resolute. Darui of the Cloud, fierce and determined. Chijiro of the Mist, quiet but deadly. Hiratsuchi of the Stone, sharp and unyielding. And Hiruzen Sarutobi of the Leaf, weary but unbroken. They met in a fortified bunker deep underground, guarded by the best shinobi from every nation. Gaara spoke first. The Otsutsuki are a threat to us all. Darui nodded. If we don't unite, we're finished. Hiratsuchi slammed her fist on the table. We need a plan, fast. Chijiro's voice was soft but firm. We fight together. Hiruzen looked around the table. Agreed. Outside, thousands of shinobi gathered. Leaf, sand, cloud, mist, stone. Enemies turned allies. Old grudges forgotten in the face of a greater threat. They shared supplies, strategies, and stories. They trained side by side, learning each other's strengths and weaknesses. They became one army. The allied shinobi forces. Naruto watched it all with wide eyes. He saw the unity, the determination, the hope. And he felt something stir inside him. A spark of pride. A surge of responsibility. He wasn't just fighting for Konoha anymore. He was fighting for everyone. Sasuke found him standing on a hill, overlooking the camp. You ready? He asked quietly. Naruto nodded. Yeah. Sasuke smirked. Good, because they're gonna need you. Naruto looked at him, surprised. Me. Sasuke nodded. You're the strongest one here and the bravest. Naruto blushed. Shut up, team. Sasuke laughed softly. Just don't die. Naruto grinned. You too. Hinata approached, eyes shining with worry and pride. She took Naruto's hand. Be careful. Naruto squeezed her hand gently. I will. She smiled softly. I believe in you. Naruto's heart swelled. Thank you. As night fell, the allied forces gathered for a final briefing. The cage stood before them, voices strong and clear. We fight for our homes, Gaara said. For our families, Darui added. For our future, Kuretsuchi said. For peace, Chijiro finished. Hiruzen's voice was last, and for each other. The army roared in agreement. Naruto stepped forward, heart pounding. He looked out at the thousands of faces, all watching him. Waiting. Hopping. He took a deep breath. I don't know what I am, he said loudly, but I know what I want to be. A protector. A hero. A friend. He clenched his fists. I won't let them take our world. The army cheered. Naruto smiled, tears in his eyes. He wasn't alone. Not anymore. Far above, the Otsutsuki ships hovered, silent and deadly. Inside, the invaders prepared. They gathered their forces, sharpened their weapons, summoned their beasts. A massive assault was coming, one that would decide the fate of the world. Naruto looked up at the sky, resolve burning in his chest. Bring it on, he whispered. We're ready. End of chapter 6 *. The allied shinobi forces worked day and night, preparing for the coming battle. Blacksmiths forged new weapons. Medics stocked supplies and trained volunteers. Sensor teams set up barriers and detection seals. Scouts patrolled the borders, eyes sharp for any sign of the enemy. Naruto moved among them, offering encouragement and lending a hand wherever he could. He helped carry supplies, trained with new recruits, and even cracked a few jokes to lighten the mood. People stared at him with a mix of awe and hope. He was the hero of Konoha, the boy with the strange power, their secret weapon. One night, he sat with Sasuke and Hinata around a small campfire. Sasuke sharpened his sword, eyes thoughtful. Hinata tended to her medical kit, hands steady. Naruto stared into the flames, mind racing. Do you think we can win? He asked quietly. Sasuke smirked, we have to. Hinata nodded, we will, because we have each other. Naruto smiled softly, yeah. The next day, the cage met again to finalize their plans. Gaara outlined the defense strategy. Darui coordinated the assault teams. Kuretsuchi organized the reserves. Chijiro prepared the medics and support units. Hiruzen oversaw it all, his gaze sharp despite his age. Naruto was called in to join them. He felt nervous but also proud. He was no longer just a kid. He was a leader. A symbol of hope. Gaara looked at him, you're the key to this battle. Naruto swallowed hard, I won't let you down. Darui grinned, we know you won't. Kuretsuchi smirked, just don't do anything stupid. Chijiro smiled gently, we believe in you. Hiruzen's eyes softened, we all do. Naruto nodded, determination burning in his chest, I'll give it everything I've got. As the sun set, the army gathered once more. Thousands of shinobi stood shoulder to shoulder, united against a common enemy. Naruto stood at the front, heart pounding. He looked up at the sky, where the Otsutsuki ships still hovered like vultures. He clenched his fists. We won't lose, he whispered. Not this time. Far above, inside the largest ship, the Otsutsuki leaders gathered. Tall, pale figures with cold, unfeeling eyes. They spoke in a language older than stars. They prepare to resist. They will fail. They always do. One figure smiled cruelly, let them struggle, it makes the harvest sweeter. Another nodded, begin the assault. On the ground, alarms blared. The sky darkened as the ships moved into position. Energy crackled along their hulls. Weapons powered up, glowing with deadly light. The final battle was about to begin. Naruto took a deep breath. He looked at his friends, his allies, his home. And he smiled. Bring it on, he whispered. We're ready. End of chapter 6 extended. Chapter 7 Gods at War. The sky ripped open. Colossal Otsutsuki ships, like pale, silent whales drifting in an ocean of stars, descended through the bruised clouds. Their hulls shimmered with an unnatural energy, and from countless ports, beams of incandescent light rained down. The earth screamed as the beams struck, carving molten trenches across the land, vaporizing trees, and turning fortified positions into craters of glass and ash. Explosions bloomed like monstrous flowers, their shockwaves flattening everything for miles. The air grew thick with smoke, the scent of ozone, and the metallic tang of blood. Below, a sea of figures surged forward. The allied shinobi forces, tens of thousands strong, a unified wave of determination against the celestial tide. Banners snapped in the wind, the leaf, the sand, the cloud, the mist, the stone, symbols of villages once rivals, now brothers and sisters in arms. War cries tore from throats, a defiant roar against the overwhelming power descending upon them. The final battle for the fate of their world had begun. Naruto was a blur of orange and gold racing through the maelstrom. His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the symphony of destruction. Around him, the battlefield was a vision of hell. Shinobi clashed with pale, ethereal figures, jutsu exploding against alien energies. He saw Kakashi, silver hair stark against the smoke, sharing and spinning. A Reikiri, crackling with contained fury, met a beam of pure destructive force from an Otsutsuki warrior. The impact sent shockwaves rippling outwards, the air vibrating with power. Kakashi was pushed back, boots digging trenches in the ravaged earth, but he held his ground. Not far off, Might Guy, the green beast of Konoha, was a whirlwind of motion. His fists, glowing with the raw power of the 8 gates, smashed against the crystalline defenses of a hulking Otsutsuki brute. Each impact sounded like thunder, shattering the ground, sending tremors through the battlefield. Guy roared, sweat pouring down his face, pushing past his limits. Gaara the Kazekage stood atop a swirling vortex of sand. His arms were outstretched, eyes narrowed in concentration. Vast shields of compressed sand rose like fortress walls, intercepting volleys of energy blasts aimed at the vulnerable medical corps behind him. The sand groaned and cracked under the assault, but Gaara reinforced it instantly, his expression grim but resolute. From the clouds, Darui, the Reikage's right hand, unleashed torrents of black lightning, jagged spears of darkness that pierced the Otsutsuki ranks, leaving trails of smoke and the scent of burnt ozone. Hiratsuchi, the Tsuchikage's granddaughter, slammed her palms onto the ground, and colossal walls of rock erupted, diverting attacks and creating defensive positions for her comrades. Chijiro, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, wielded Haramkari, its twin blades shimmering as he cut down Otsutsuki foot soldiers with fluid grace. Everywhere, shinobi fought with the desperation of those defending their very existence. Jutsu flared, fireballs met energy shields, water dragons crashed against unseen barriers, earth spikes erupted beneath alien feet. Taijutsu specialists moved like blurs, kana and swords flashing, seeking any weakness in the Otsutsuki's seemingly impenetrable defense. It was a chaotic, brutal dance of survival. But the Otsutsuki were beings from another realm, ancient and terrifyingly powerful. They moved with an eerie, effortless grace, dodging intricate jutsu combinations as if swatting flies. Their attacks were swift, precise, and utterly devastating. Slender Otsutsuki woman, clad in flowing white robes, simply flicked her wrist. A wave of invisible force slammed into an entire platoon of sand shinobi, sending them tumbling through the air like broken dolls. Another, with eyes that seemed to contain galaxies, merely glanced at a fortified stone bunker. The structure imploded silently, crushing those within. They wielded rods that absorbed ninjutsu, turning the shinobi's greatest weapons against them. They fired blasts of energy that bypassed defenses, striking with lethal accuracy. Their taijutsu was fluid and unpredictable, striking pressure points with casual ease, disabling jonin with single blows. Their power wasn't just overwhelming, it felt absolute, like mortals challenging gods. Fear, cold and sharp, began to seep into the hearts of the allied forces. Naruto grit his teeth, pushing past the fear. He felt the alien energy thrumming beneath his skin, a wild, untamed power that both terrified and empowered him. He forced it outwards, letting it augment his speed, his strength. He became a golden comet weaving through the battlefield. He saw a squad of leaf shinobi pinned down by energy fire. He threw himself in front of them, raising his hands. A barrier of swirling, golden light erupted, absorbing the blasts. The impact jarred him, sending tremors up his arms, but the barrier held. "Get back," he yelled, pushing the energy outwards, creating an opening. He moved faster than seemed possible, intercepting attacks, punching Otsutsuki warriors with enough force to crack their strange, resilient bodies. He hit harder, his fists imbued with the raw, chaotic energy. But each use was a gamble. The power surged unpredictably. Sometimes it obeyed, forming shields or augmenting his strikes. Other times it lashed out wildly, scorching the earth around him, nearly hitting allies. The strain was immense. His vision flickered at the edges, tinged with gold and static. His heart hammered erratically, feeling like it might burst from his chest. The world seemed to warp and tilt around him, the sounds of battle fading into a dull roar replaced by faint sibilant whispers coiling in the back of his mind. The power felt less like a tool and more like a parasite, feeding on his stamina, his chakra, his very essence, threatening to burn him out from the inside. Suddenly, a figure materialized directly in his path, coalescing from the smoke and chaos. This Otsutsuki was different, taller, broader, with an aura of command. Horns curled back from his pale forehead, and his eyes, twin Byakugan, held no warmth, only the cold, calculating emptiness of the void. Runes glowed faintly on his white robes. "The vessel," the Otsutsuki stated, his voice resonating not just in Naruto's ears, but seemingly within his very bones. "You carry the seed of our kin, yet you fight for these insects." Naruto planted his feet, the golden energy swirling around him defensively. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki of the Hidden Leaf, and these are my people." The Otsutsuki tilted his head, a gesture devoid of curiosity, merely observation. "Your blood betrays your words, you are Otsutsuki, your power is ours." "It's my power," Naruto roared, clenching his fists, "and I'll use it to protect them." A flicker of something, perhaps amusement, perhaps disdain, crossed the Otsutsuki's face. It was gone as quickly as it appeared. A flawed vessel, defective, you choose mortality, then perish with it. Warrior didn't charge, he simply moved asterisk. One moment he was 10 yards away, the next his hand, palm open, was inches from Naruto's chest. Naruto reacted on pure instinct, crossing his arms, pouring his chaotic energy into the block. The impact was like being hit by a mountain. He felt bones creak, the air forced from his lungs. He was sent tumbling backward, carving a long trench in the earth before crashing into the ruins of a wall. Pain exploded through him, but adrenaline and the strange power surged stronger. He spat out blood, grit his teeth, and launched himself forward like a cannonball. Rasengan, he channeled his own chakra, mixing it with the volatile Otsutsuki energy, creating a swirling sphere of unstable power that crackled ominously. The Otsutsuki met the attack with casual indifference, raising a black receiver rod. The Rasengan slammed into it, and instead of exploding, the energy seemed to drain away, absorbed into the rod. The warrior then redirected the stolen power, firing a compressed blast back at Naruto. Naruto twisted desperately, the blast searing past his cheek, vaporizing the wall behind him. They clashed again, a whirlwind of gold and white. Naruto's raw, untamed power against the Otsutsuki's refined, ancient techniques. Naruto fought with fury, desperation, and the burning need to protect. The Otsutsuki fought with the detached efficiency of an exterminator. Naruto screamed as the alien energy coursed through him, threatening to tear him apart, but the faces of his friends flashed in his mind, and he refused, absolutely refused, to back down. All around their personal duel, the larger war raged unabated. The sheer scale was staggering. Giant summoned creatures clashed, Gamabunta's massive blade swung against a monstrous, multi-limbed Otsutsuki beast. Shinobi formations executed complex strategies, only to be shattered by overwhelming power. Medics worked frantically, their green chakra stark contrast to the red spreading across the battlefield. Jonin commanders shouted orders, trying to maintain cohesion in the face of annihilation. Shinobi fell, their lights extinguished too quickly. Yet for everyone that fell, two more seemed to take their place, driven by a desperate courage. The Otsutsuki pressed forward in inexorable tide, their ships continuing their bombardment from above. The ground trembled constantly, and the sky was an apocalyptic canvas of fire, smoke, and unnatural light. Near the field hospital, Hinata Hyuga, her Byakugan active, moved with fierce grace. Her gentle fist strikes disabled Otsutsuki warriors attempting to breach the perimeter, her palms striking chakra points with pinpoint accuracy. Beside her, Sakura Haruno, channeling immense chakra into her fists, shattered the ground, sending shockwaves that disrupted enemy formations while simultaneously healing wounded shinobi with expert medical ninjutsu. They were a bulwark protecting the helpless. Elsewhere, Sasuke Uchiha was a storm of black flames and lightning. His eternal Manjukau sharing and tracked the movements of two Otsutsuki elites simultaneously. Amaterasu consumed one warrior's energy shield while his Suzanu's ethereal blade clashed with the other's weapon. Chidori Nagashi flowed around him, creating a deadly field of electricity. He fought with cold, calculated fury, each move precise, each jutsu unleashed with maximum effect. Kakashi and Guy, legends in their own right, were an island of defiance. Kakashi's Sharingan anticipated attacks, his diverse jutsu countering the Otsutsuki's strange abilities, while Guy's sheer taijutsu prowess forced even the powerful aliens to keep their distance. They covered each other's weaknesses, a testament to years of rivalry and camaraderie. Gaara commanded the battlefield from his position, his sand not just defending but attacking, forming giant claws and spears that crushed Otsutsuki drones and restrained warriors. Darui rained down Black Panther lightning storms, forcing the invaders to scatter. Hiratsuchi reshaped the terrain itself, creating pitfalls, barriers, and projectiles of rock and lava. Chijura, alongside other mist shinobi, used water and mist jutsu to obscure vision and create openings for devastating strikes. The Cage and their elite guards were pushing back, buying time, costing the invaders dearly for every inch of ground. Naruto, locked in his desperate struggle, saw flashes of the wider battle. He saw Sakura shield Hinata from a blast, saw Sasuke take a hit meant for a younger shinobi, saw Kakashi push Guy out of the way of a collapsing structure. He saw the determination, the sacrifice, the bonds holding them together against impossible odds. He felt their chakra signatures flicker, felt their pain, their fear, their unwavering resolve. And something deep within him, deeper than the alien power, deeper than his own consciousness, snapped. It wasn't just anger, it was a primal, protective rage mixed with an overwhelming love for his people, his world. The whispers in his mind intensified, no longer faint but a roaring chorus. Embrace your heritage. Unleash your potential. Your power incarnate. Your Otsutsuki. A raw, untamed surge of golden energy erupted from him, far greater than anything before. It wasn't controlled. It was a pure, concussive wave of force that slammed into the Otsutsuki warrior he fought, sending the powerful being tumbling back, cracking the earth where he landed. The backlash threw Naruto to his knees. He gasped, clutching his head as the world spun violently. The whispers were deafening now, seductive, promising power beyond imagining if he would just accept his true nature. You are a god among insects. Rule them, command them. Their fate is in your hands. No, Naruto screamed, slamming his fist into the ground. Tears streamed down his face, mixing with blood and dirt. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. He fought against the overwhelming tide in his own mind, clinging to his identity, his bonds, his dream. The Otsutsuki warrior rose, brushing dust from his robes, his expression unreadable but for the faint tightening around his eyes. He seemed almost intrigued by Naruto's resistance. He formed a complex hand seal, and a massive spear of black, crackling energy materialized above him, radiating immense pressure. He lunged, thrusting the spear towards Naruto's heart. Time seemed to slow. Naruto saw the spear coming, felt its terrifying power. He saw Hinata turn towards him, her eyes wide with fear. He saw Sasuke glance over, sharing and spinning wildly. He saw the hope draining from nearby shinobi faces. He couldn't dodge, he couldn't block conventionally. He raised his hands not in defense but in desperation. The golden energy swirled around him, thicker, more potent than ever before. He didn't try to control it. He poured his will, his desperation, his love for his friends into it. The black spear slammed into his palms. Energy crackled violently, gold against black. The ground beneath Naruto fractured. He screamed, a raw, primal sound of agony and defiance as the Otsutsuki power within him met the external assault. He felt like he was being torn apart atom by atom, but he held on, fueled by the faces of his friends. He pushed, not just with physical strength but with his entire being, his will, his very soul. He forced the chaotic golden energy against the spear. The Otsutsuki warrior's eyes widened fractionally in surprise as Naruto didn't just stop the spear but began to push it back. Cracks appeared along the black energy construct. "I won't let you," Naruto roared. With a final, desperate surge, he pushed harder. The golden energy flared nova bright. The black spear didn't just shatter, it disintegrated into harmless particles. The resulting shockwave slammed into the Otsutsuki warrior, throwing him back dozens of yards, carving another furrow in the battlefield as he crashed. Naruto stood swaying, his body trembling violently. The golden aura flickered erratically like a flame in a hurricane. It felt wilder now, less a part of him and more like a separate entity barely contained within his skin. He looked down at his hands, which glowed so brightly they seemed translucent. Fear warred with a strange sense of awe. He had tapped into something immense, something terrifying. What is this power?" he whispered, the question echoing the fear in his own heart and the stunned silence that had momentarily fallen over the nearby battlefield. Before he could process it, danger flared behind him. Another Otsutsuki, this one leaner, faster, wielding twin energy blades, appeared silently and struck. Naruto spun on instinct, the golden aura flaring defensively, barely deflecting the shimmering blades. This new opponent was relentless, a whirlwind of deadly strikes aimed at Naruto's vital points. They clashed across the battlefield, a blur of gold and white light moving faster than most shinobi could track. Naruto fought defensively, the power surging unpredictably. Sometimes it formed shields just in time, other times he had to rely on pure instinct and luck to avoid lethal blows. He felt pushed beyond his limits, the energy tearing at him, the whispers intensifying again, urging him to give in, to unleash the full destructive potential. He screamed in pain and defiance, refusing to yield, refusing to become the monster they wanted him to be. He wouldn't lose himself. He wouldn't lose his friends. All around him, the cacophony of war continued. Explosions still rocked the earth. Jutsu still lit the sky. Shinobi still fought with desperate bravery, falling only to be replaced by others. The Otsutsuki advanced, their numbers seemingly endless, their power unwavering. The world was bleeding, burning, groaning under the weight of a war between mortals and self-proclaimed gods. Naruto's vision swam, black spots danced before his eyes, his breath came in ragged gasps, his heart felt like it was trying to beat its way out of his chest. The Otsutsuki power roared within him, a caged beast threatening to break free and consume everything, including himself. He felt his control slipping, his consciousness fraying. He saw the second Otsutsuki preparing another devastating attack. He saw Hinata fighting desperately nearby, protecting a group of wounded. He saw Sasuke struggling against 3 opponents, his Susanoo flickering. He clenched his fists, digging his nails into his palms until they bled. "I won't lose," he gasped, the words barely a whisper. "I won't let anyone die. I give up." It wasn't a conscious decision. It was a primal scream of defiance from the depths of his soul, a rejection of despair, an affirmation of his bonds. And the power answered asterisk. It didn't just surge, it detonated. An explosion of pure, blinding golden light erupted from Naruto, expanding outwards, engulfing everything for hundreds of yards. It wasn't destructive like the Otsutsuki's energy, it felt different, warm, yet immensely powerful. The ground beneath him didn't just crack, it buckled and warped. The sky above seemed to tear open, revealing glimpses of swirling, celestial colors. For a moment, the entire battlefield froze. Shinobi and Otsutsuki alike stopped fighting, shielding their eyes, staring in stunned silence at the epicenter of the light. As the light slowly receded, Naruto remained, floating serenely above the ravaged earth. He wasn't just glowing anymore. The golden energy had coalesced, forming intricate, shifting patterns across his body resembling ancient seals. His hair seemed lighter, almost white gold, and his eyes now shone with the same celestial blue light as the power itself, but held a fierce, unwavering determination. He radiated an aura of power that dwarfed even the Otsutsuki commanders, yet it felt fundamentally different, protective, not destructive. He looked less like a vessel consumed by power and more like power given form and purpose. Not quite a god, perhaps, but something undeniably more than mortal. He looked down, his gaze swept over the battlefield. He saw Hinata staring up, tears mixing with awe. He saw Sasuke's stunned expression, sharing and wide. He saw Kakashi guide the cage, the countless shinobi looking towards him, hope rekindled in their eyes. He saw the Otsutsuki warriors, their usual impassivity replaced by shock, even a flicker of fear. He saw the burning remnants of his village, his home, threatened with annihilation. The whispers in his mind were silent now, overwhelmed by the clarity of his purpose. The choice wasn't even a choice, it was an inevitability. He would fight. He would protect. He would never give up. No matter what. End of Chapter 7 extended. Chapter 8 The Betrayal. Naruto hovered above the devastated battlefield, the golden, celestial energy swirling around him like a living cloak. The raw power thrumming through his veins was intoxicating, terrifying, and utterly alien. Below, the fighting had momentarily ceased, all eyes, human and Otsutsuki, fixed on him. He felt their gazes, fear, awe, hope, and cold calculation. From the ranks of the invaders, a figure ascended slowly, effortlessly gliding through the air to meet him. It was the horned Otsutsuki commander he had fought earlier, the one who had absorbed his Rasengan. The being's pale face was impassive, but his Byakugan eyes seemed to pierce through the golden aura, studying Naruto with unnerving intensity. Impressive, the Otsutsuki stated, his voice calm despite the raw power radiating from Naruto. The vessel awakens, stronger than anticipated, perhaps not entirely defective after all. Naruto narrowed his glowing eyes, the energy around him flaring defensively. Stay away from my friends. The Otsutsuki commander stopped a respectful distance away, an unnerving stillness about him. His presence felt ancient, vast like the cold expanse between stars. Why expend your divine energy defending these primitives? He asked again, his voice resonating with a subtle vibration that seemed to bypass Naruto's ears and sink directly into his bones. Their fear is palpable even from here. It clings to you like grave dust. We observed your arrival, your struggles. We saw the sideways glances, heard the fearful whispers, monster, demon, alien. They recoil from the very power that now holds their doom at bay. Naruto flinched visibly, the golden aura around him wavering like a disturbed flame. Each word was a precisely aimed dart, striking the old, deep wounds of his childhood. He remembered the glares, the slammed doors, the isolation on the playground swing set, the crushing weight of being utterly alone in a village full of people. They do not understand you because they cannot asterisk, the commander continued, his voice softening, becoming smooth, almost hypnotic, weaving through Naruto's defenses. How could they? They are creatures bound to this single, insignificant planet, their minds limited by flesh and fleeting lifespans. They cannot comprehend the power coursing through you, the celestial heritage encoded in your very cells. You are Otsutsuki. Your ancestors seeded worlds, harvested stars, traversed dimensions. You are destined for godhood, not for groveling in the mud with these mortals. He gestured dismissively towards the battlefield below, where the brief lull in fighting was already breaking down into smaller skirmishes. Look at their struggle, so desperate, so futile. They build lives like sandcastles, only for the tide of time or conflict to wash them away. They fight, they bleed, they sacrifice themselves for concepts as ephemeral as loyalty, friendship, love, fleeting sparks in an indifferent cosmos. Their entire civilization is a blink in the eye of eternity. The commander's Byakugan eyes seemed to intensify, locking onto Naruto's, attempting to draw him in. You possess power they can only dream of, power that makes you fundamentally different, fundamentally superior. Your potential is limitless, while theirs is tragically finite. Why chain yourself to their limitations? Why anchor your infinite potential to their insignificant, dying world? This planet is merely a resource, a garden to be harvested. Its inhabitants, temporary custodians at best. Why defend the weeds when you are destined to tend the stars? Profound tremor ran through Naruto, a conflict that shook him to his core. The commander's words, laced with cold logic and undeniable truth about the scale of Otsutsuki existence, resonated deeply with the lonely, ostracized child still buried within him. He remembered the countless nights staring at the Hokage monument, wondering why he was different, why he was hated. He remembered the desperate craving for acknowledgement, for a place to belong, and the power. The sheer, intoxicating asterisk power now flowing through him felt like confirmation. It felt limitless, divine, utterly separate from the chakra he knew. Was this commander right? Was this his true destiny, to shed the limitations of humanity and embrace something grander? "Join us, Vessel," the commander offered, extending a pale, long-fingered hand. The gesture was simple, yet it carried the weight of galaxies. "Accept your birthright, embrace your Otsutsuki heritage. We possess knowledge spanning millennia, secrets of chakra manipulation that make ninjutsu look like children's games. We can teach you to harness this power fully, to unlock abilities you cannot yet fathom. Immortality, dimensional travel, the power to create and destroy worlds. Walk among the stars with us, your true kin. No more hiding, no more being misunderstood, no more loneliness. Only power, knowledge, and eternal belonging." The offer hung in the charged air, shimmering with temptation. Belonging, understanding, power, immortality. An end to the fear, the doubt, the pain of being different. He saw a fleeting vision, himself, clad in white, standing on the bridge of an Otsutsuki vessel, looking out at nebulae, planets spread before him like jewels. Accepted, powerful, understood. He thought again of the fearful eyes of the villagers, the suspicion of some shinobi, the constant struggle to prove himself. The whispers, monster. Alien. His golden aura flickered violently, the celestial energy swirling like a storm, reflecting his inner turmoil. Doubt, sharp and cold, gnawed at his resolve. Was this it? The answer he'd unknowingly sought his whole life. A chance to finally understand what he was, to leave behind the world that had so often rejected him. The temptation was immense, a siren song promising solace and power. He forced his gaze downwards, away from the Otsutsuki commander, away from the tempting vision of cosmic power. His glowing eyes scanned the battlefield, seeking anchors in the storm of his doubt. He saw Hinata, her hands clasped tightly, her Byakugan deactivated, her gaze fixed solely on him. There was fear in her eyes, yes, but beneath it shone a bedrock of desperate hope, an unwavering faith that cut through his turmoil like a beacon. She believed in him, Naruto Uzumaki, not the Otsutsuki vessel. His gaze shifted, finding Sasuke. His rival stood amidst fallen Otsutsuki drones, katana drawn, eternal Mangekyo sharing and locked onto Naruto. There was no fear in Sasuke's eyes, only a fierce, challenging glare that spoke volumes. "Don't be an idiot. Don't betray what we fought for. Don't betray who you are." It was the same look Sasuke gave him before every spar, every challenge, a demand for Naruto to be his best self. He saw Kakashi, leaning heavily but still standing, his visible eye conveying a quiet trust that transcended words. He saw Guy giving him a thumbs up despite his injuries, a grin of pure, indomitable spirit. He saw Sakura directing medics, her expression tight with worry but resolute. He saw the aged face of the third Hokage, weary but proud. He saw Uroka-sensei in his mind's eye, the first person who had ever truly acknowledged him, who had told him he wasn't a monster. Then came the flood of memories, not of rejection but of connection. Sharing cheap ramen with Uroka after training, the steam warming his face, the simple act feeling like the greatest feast. The bell test with Team 7, the frustration, the teamwork, the shared meal that broke the rules but forged a bond. Countless arguments and clashes with Sasuke, each one pushing him, making him stronger, deepening their complex rivalry and friendship. Hinata's quiet words of encouragement during the Chunin exams, her blush, her steadfast belief in him when few others did. The laughter, the tears, the shared pain, the victories snatched from the jaws of defeat, the promises made, the bonds forged not through blood but through shared experience, through loyalty tested and proven time and again. These weren't fleeting sparks or misplaced affections. They were the substance of his life, the anchors of his soul. These weren't primitives or insects. They were his precious people. This wasn't just a dying world or a garden to be harvested. It was his home, flawed, fragile, but fiercely loved and worth defending. The seductive whispers of the Otsutsuki commander, the allure of cosmic power and cold immortality, began to sound hollow, empty. They faded against the vibrant warmth of his memories, the undeniable strength of his bonds. The golden energy swirling around him, once chaotic and uncertain, began to resonate with a new frequency. It stabilized, pulsed with a steady, powerful rhythm, infused now not just with alien celestial power, but with the fierce, unwavering will of Naruto Uzumaki, protector of the hidden leaf. He looked back at the Otsutsuki commander, his glowing blue eyes hardening with resolve. "You talk about belonging," Naruto said, his voice cutting through the air, clear and strong, imbued with the golden energy that now burned steadily around him. It echoed across the battlefield, drawing the attention of all who could hear. "You talk about power, you talk about destiny written in blood." He met the commander's Byakugan without flinching. "But you don't understand a single thing." He clenched his fists and the golden energy flared, becoming brighter, purer, shedding the chaotic undertones it held moments before. "Maybe I have Otsutsuki blood, maybe this power comes from you, but it's not yours, not anymore." His voice resonated with conviction. "My power isn't just from my blood, it's fueled by them." He swept his arm towards the shinobi below. "By my friends, by my teachers, by everyone who believed in me when no one else did. By the village that, despite everything, became my home." He pointed directly at the commander, his glowing finger unwavering. You see fear, I see courage, you see weakness, I see resilience. They might be scared sometimes, they might not always understand me, but they don't give up. They stand together, they protect each other, they fight for what they believe in even when facing gods. That is a strength your cold calculations and cosmic power will never comprehend. The commander's impassive facade finally cracked completely. A deep frown etched itself onto his pale brow, and a flicker of genuine disbelief, quickly followed by contempt, flashed in his Byakugan eyes. You choose these insignificant insects over godhood, over immortality, over your own kind. The last words were laced with disdain. They are my kind, Naruto roared, the declaration amplified by his power, shockwave of sound and conviction that rolled across the battlefield. Hope surged through the allied forces, while uncertainty flickered among the Otsutsuki ranks. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village. This planet is my home, these people are my family, and I will protect them all. I will protect this world with every last drop of my chakra, with my dying breath if I have to. He decisively retracted the hand he hadn't even realized he'd partially raised towards the commander's offer. The rejection was absolute, severing the thread of temptation. I will never join you or become like you. You threaten my home, you hurt my friends, you stand for everything I fight against. From this moment on, you are nothing but my enemy. The betrayal wasn't Naruto turning his back on humanity. It was his definitive rejection of the Otsutsuki, a betrayal of the destiny they believed was his birthright. Chilling silence descended, thick and heavy, broken only by the distant crackle of fires and the groans of the wounded. The Otsutsuki commander stared at Naruto, his expression transforming from disbelief to a cold, fathomless rage. He slowly lowered the hand that had offered godhood. His Byakugan eyes narrowed into malevolent slits, and the very air around him seemed to crystallize with murderous intent. The ambient temperature plummeted, frost beginning to form on nearby debris despite the fires. A pity, the commander hissed, the earlier smoothness gone, replaced by a venomous rasp that promised untold suffering. A profound waste. You possess the potential for greatness, vessel, but you cling to sentiment like a drowning man to driftwood. You have sealed your own fate. His gaze swept across the battlefield, filled with utter contempt, and the fate of this pathetic, insignificant world. The fragile, unspoken truce shattered like glass. The commander raised his hand skyward, palm open. High above, the colossal Otsutsuki ships responded instantly. Dozens of massive energy cannons, far larger and more numerous than those used before, extended from their hulls, charging with an ominous, blinding light that dwarfed the earlier attacks. The very air hummed with terrifying power. You have chosen annihilation, the commander declared, his voice booming across the land, amplified by some unknown means. Then annihilation you shall receive, all units, full offensive, eradicate every living thing on this planet, leave nothing but dust and memories. Rift was absolute. Naruto had unequivocally chosen his side, embracing his humanity, his bonds, his identity as Naruto Uzumaki, protector of Konoha, defender of Earth. He had rejected the cold godhood of the Otsutsuki. But this act of profound loyalty, this ultimate affirmation of self, had also slammed the door on any possibility of negotiation or understanding. He had not just refused an offer, he had declared war on his own bloodline in the name of his chosen family. He had painted an enormous target on himself and invited the full, unrestrained, genocidal wrath of the Otsutsuki clan upon his world. The battle hadn't just resumed, it had escalated into a desperate fight for sheer survival against beings intent on total erasure. End of Chapter 8 extended. Chapter 9 The Last Stand. The sky bled pure destructive light. Following the Otsutsuki commander's chilling decree of annihilation, the heavens truly opened with wrath. The colossal cannons, newly revealed aboard the hovering behemoths, unleashed a barrage that dwarfed all previous attacks. Beams of incandescent energy, thick as ancient trees and burning with the light of dying stars, rained down relentlessly. They didn't merely explode, they erased asterisk. They struck, earth, rock, and shinobi alike simply ceased to exist, leaving behind only vast, glowing craters that hissed and steamed. Gaara's intricate sand shields, reinforced with Shukaku's chakra, shattered like glass under the onslaught. Here, such as massive earth walls capable of stopping tailed beast bombs were punched through as if they were paper. Even Sasuke Susanoo ribs groaned and cracked under direct hits, forcing him to constantly reinforce them with precious chakra. Individual defenses, powerful jutsu honed over lifetimes, were snuffed out in milliseconds. A wave of pure, unadulterated panic washed over the allied shinobi forces, colder and sharper than any kunai. This wasn't war, it was extermination. The scale of the bombardment was beyond comprehension, an apocalyptic storm of divine fury. The ground bucked and roared like a dying beast, fissures splitting open, swallowing shinobi whole. The air itself felt toxic, thick with ozone dust and the palpable pressure of the Otsutsuki's power, making each breath a struggle, each thought a monumental effort. Coordinated movements dissolved. Shouts of command became desperate, choked-off screams lost in the unending thunder of destruction. Disciplined formations fractured into scattered, terrified individuals scrambling for cover that simply didn't exist, seeking shelter behind rubble that was vaporized moments later. Fall back to the ravine, regroup at Sector Gamma, a renowned Leaf Jonin commander bellowed, rallying his platoon, only for a blinding beam to scythe across the ridge he stood upon, leaving nothing behind, his final order echoing unanswered. "Medic, for the love of Kami, medic!" shrieked a young Sand shinobi, desperately trying to staunch the bleeding from her fallen squad leader, tears streaming down her face. Another beam descended nearby, the shockwave alone silencing her cries forever. Seizing the advantage created by the terrifying aerial assault, the Otsutsuki ground forces pressed forward with renewed chilling efficiency. They flowed through the broken shinobi lines like wraiths, their pale forms weaving through the explosions and chaos with unnatural ease. Their attacks were economical, precise, and utterly lethal. A flick of a wrist shattered bone, a touch disabled chakra networks, a casual energy blast pierced vital organs. There was no wasted movement, no hesitation, no mercy, only the cold, detached execution of their commander's order: eradicate everything. Hope, already flickering, began to die in the hearts of the defenders. It wasn't just the possibility of defeat anymore, it was the crushing certainty of annihilation closing in like a fist. Amidst the escalating chaos, Naruto, still radiating the potent golden aura, became a beacon of defiance. The stabilized power flowed through him, no longer threatening to consume him but answering his will, albeit with immense strain. He moved like a golden meteor, intercepting the deadly beams from above whenever he could. He materialized in a flash of gold before a panicked group of mist shinobi, their retreat cut off by advancing Otsutsuki and a descending beam from above that promised vaporization. Time seemed to slow for Naruto. He saw their wide, terrified eyes, the resignation settling in. "Not on my watch." Roaring defiance, he thrust his hands skyward. The golden energy surged, coalescing not into a simple barrier but a vast, complex, translucent shield composed of interlocking, swirling seals that pulsed with light. The colossal beam slammed into it with the force of 1,000 thunderclaps. The impact threw Naruto back slightly, the pressure threatening to crush him. He dug his heels into the fractured earth, gritting his teeth so hard his jaw ached, veins bulging on his temples as he poured his very soul, his will, his connection to his friends into the shield. The intricate seals glowed brighter, straining against the immense energy. Cracks spider-webbed across the golden surface, threatening to shatter, but it held. Below, the mist shinobi stared in stunned awe for a precious second before scrambling past him, diving into the relative cover of deeper ruins. As the beam finally subsided, the shield dissolved into glittering particles and Naruto staggered, gasping, the world tilting violently. The effort had cost him dearly. "Don't just run," he yelled, his voice raw but amplified by his remaining power, cutting through the roar of battle. "Kirinin, hidden mist jutsu now, blind them, give the sensor teams a chance, we need to find a weakness in those cannons." He saw a veteran Mist Jonin nod sharply, relaying the order, and moments later, thick, disorienting mist began to roll across that section of the battlefield, offering a brief, desperate respite. He didn't wait for an answer, already darting off towards another point of crisis. He saw a powerful Otsutsuki warrior bearing down on a group of medics, including Sakura and Hinata, who were desperately trying to evacuate wounded. Naruto intercepted the warrior, his movements blindingly fast, his fists glowing. They clashed, golden energy against the Otsutsuki's own strange power, the shockwaves leveling the surrounding ruins. "Sakura, Hinata, get the wounded out of here, now," he shouted over his shoulder, parrying a blow that could have shattered steel. Hinata hesitated, her eyes locked on him, full of worry. "Naruto, you can't fight them all." "Just go," he roared, pushing the Otsutsuki back with a surge of power. "I'll hold them." Reluctantly, Sakura grabbed Hinata's arm and they guided the medics and their patients away, disappearing into the smoke and chaos. Sacrifice became the currency of survival. Might Guy, despite his earlier exertions, saw a volley of focused energy blasts streaking towards a makeshift shelter where terrified academy students, caught up in the evacuation chaos, were huddled. There was no time for anyone else to react. With a roar that seemed to tear from his very soul, a sound of pure, selfless determination, he forced open the seventh gate of shock once more. The backlash was immediate, agony lancing through his already battered body, but he ignored it. Loose steam erupted around him, the pressure immense. Harudora, instead of a defensive spin, he launched his ultimate daytime technique, a massive, tiger-shaped fist of pure air pressure. It slammed into the incoming volley, detonating prematurely in a blinding flash, the shockwave shielding the students. But the cost was catastrophic. Guy crashed to the earth, limbs twisted at unnatural angles, the blue aura vanishing, leaving him utterly broken, barely conscious, but with a faint smile on his face. Lee, fighting nearby, screamed his name, tears streaming as he fought his way towards his master. Nearby, the veteran stone shinobi, Kitsuchi, son of the third Tsuchikage, saw the horned Otsutsuki commander bypass Kakashi and head directly for the temporary command bunker where the injured Cage were coordinating the failing defense. Knowing he couldn't match the commander's power, Kitsuchi didn't hesitate. Pouring every last drop of his formidable chakra into the earth, he performed a forbidden kinjutsu passed down in his family. Earth-style Fist of World Creation. The ground beneath the commander didn't just erupt, it folded in on itself, attempting to crush the Otsutsuki in a tomb of compressed rock and chakra. The commander paused, annoyed, shattering the rock prison with a pulse of energy, but the momentary delay allowed Onoki, despite his age and injuries, to launch a particle-style jutsu, forcing the commander to evade. Kitsuchi, however, collapsed, his chakra network shattered by the forbidden technique's recoil, sacrificing his future as a shinobi to buy a few precious seconds. These were not isolated incidents. Across the battlefield, similar acts unfolded. Shinoburim commanded his Kikeichu insects in swarms, sacrificing vast numbers of them to clog Otsutsuki energy conduits, briefly disabling warriors at the cost of his own chakra reserves. Kiba and Akamaru, using fang over fang, created diversions, drawing fire, Akamaru taking a near-fatal blow meant for Ino as she relayed Naruto's battlefield commands telepathically. Tenten, using her mastery of ninja tools, unleashed barrages from scrolls, creating openings and covering retreats until her chakra was utterly spent. Each sacrifice, each act of defiance was a flickering candle against an encroaching hurricane, buying priceless moments, saving handfuls of lives, weaving a tapestry of desperate courage against the backdrop of impending doom. Naruto witnessed these acts of selflessness, felt the poignant flare and fade of his comrade's life forces through his heightened senses. Each loss was a physical blow, fueling a cold rage within him but also hardening his resolve into something unbreakable. He wasn't just a weapon anymore, he was the embodiment of their collective will, their last hope. His leadership transcended mere power, it became inspiration, a desperate focal point in the storm. His Otsutsuki senses, now more attuned under the pressure, allowed him to perceive the battlefield on an unprecedented scale. He saw energy fluctuations, tracked enemy movements, identified tactical weak points, and felt the ebb and flow of chakra across kilometers. He became a battlefield commander operating on instinct and alien perception, relaying critical information through shadow clones, through shouts amplified by his aura, through urgent hand signals flashed across smoking ruins. Sasuke, left flank collapsing, 3 Otsutsuki commanders pushing through, need full Susanoo now, by time for the Cloud Nin to regroup. Gaara, Sector Beta's sand defenses are failing under focused bombardment. Pull back the line slightly, use the canyon for cover. Kuretsuchi, support him with earth walls. Kakashi-sensei, commander headed your way, targeting the cage bunker. He bypassed Kitsuchi, intercept, guy is down. He was everywhere at once, or so it seemed. A golden blur intercepting planet-cracking beams, a furious combatant engaging Otsutsuki elites in brief, brutal clashes, a guardian angel shielding retreating squads. He pushed his power to its absolute limit, creating wave after wave of golden-hued shadow clones. These weren't the standard clones. They pulsed with Otsutsuki energy, capable of blocking minor energy blasts, performing rescues, and engaging lesser Otsutsuki drones, spreading his influence across the vast battlefield. But the strain was astronomical. Each clone, each shield, each energy-fueled strike drained his reserves at an alarming rate. The brilliant golden aura surrounding him began to flicker more noticeably, dimming at the edges, the intricate seals wavering. Sweat poured down his face, his breathing grew ragged, but he ignored the screaming exhaustion, the burning pain, gritting his teeth against the immense cost. He had asterisk to keep going. Yet despite Naruto's godlike efforts and the heart-wrenching sacrifices, the grim reality was undeniable. The allied shinobi forces were being systematically dismantled. The Otsutsuki numbers seemed endless, fresh warriors descending from the ships to replace the few who fell. Their power felt infinite, their assault relentless. The bombardment from above never ceased, a constant, terrifying pressure grinding down defenses and morale. The number of active shinobi was plummeting. Field hospitals were overflowing, medics like Sakura and Shizune forced into impossible triage situations, their chakra reserves dangerously low. Exhaustion, deep and bone-weary, was a universal affliction, dulling reflexes, slowing movements, making every jutsu a monumental effort. Naruto felt a pang of cold dread as he saw Gaara's giant sand pyramid, reinforced by countless layers and seals, finally shatter under a relentless, focused barrage from multiple ships. He saw the Kazekage, his chakra depleted, plummet from the sky like a stone, saved only by the timely intervention of Kankuro's puppets. Moments later, he witnessed Sasuke's majestic purple Susanoo flicker violently and then dissipate completely, overwhelmed by the coordinated assault of 3 Otsutsuki commanders. Sasuke landed hard, breathing heavily, sharing and bleeding, forced onto a desperate defensive, relying purely on his speed and swordsmanship. Around the cage's command bunker, Kakashi, Darui, Chijiro, and the remaining guards fought a losing battle against Otsutsuki elites, pushed to their absolute limits, injuries mounting. The air grew thick with the metallic scent of blood and the acrid taste of despair. They weren't just losing anymore, they were being annihilated. And as if signaling the final act, the lesser bombardment ceased. An eerie silence fell, broken only by the crackling fires and pained groans. All eyes, shinobi and Otsutsuki alike, were drawn upwards. From the shadowed belly of the colossal flagship hovering directly above the ravaged heart of the battlefield, a weapon of truly terrifying proportions emerged. It wasn't just a cannon, it was a construct of impossible geometry and shimmering dark energy, dwarfing everything else in the sky. It began to charge, and the effect was immediate and horrifying. Light seemed to bend around it. Energy visibly flowed into it, not just from the ship but seemingly drawn from the very fabric of space, from the life force of the planet itself. The air pressure became immense, crushing. Reality itself seemed to thin and warp around the weapon's muzzle, which glowed with an intensity that threatened to outshine the sun. Naruto felt the energy build, a terrifying crescendo that resonated deep within his Otsutsuki blood. This wasn't like the other beams. This felt final, an extinction-level power aimed at wiping the slate clean. His enhanced senses screamed danger on a scale he couldn't comprehend. The horned Otsutsuki commander materialized before him once more, hovering with infuriating calm amidst the palpable dread, a cruel, satisfied smirk finally gracing his pale features. Impressive resistance for mortals, he conceded, his voice dripping with condescending finality. But ultimately meaningless. It is over, vessel. The Starbreaker cannon will scour the surface of this continent, reducing everything, your friends, your home, your feudal defiance, to sterilized bedrock. A fitting monument to your foolish choice. Naruto looked up at the blindingly bright, reality-warping muzzle of the Starbreaker. He felt its power pressing down, an absolute weight that promised oblivion. He looked down at the upturned faces below, Hinata's tear-streaked but resolute face, Sasuke's exhausted but defiant glare, Kakashi's weary but trusting eye, the countless other shinobi battered, bleeding but still looking to him. He looked at the smoking ruins that had once been Konoha, his home. He knew with absolute chilling certainty that no shield, no jutsu, no defense conceived by mortals could possibly withstand the blast that was coming. Running was pointless. Hiding was impossible. A conventional fight had failed. There was only one desperate, terrifying path remaining. He met the commander's smug gaze, the golden light in his own eyes flaring, burning away the last vestiges of fear, leaving only pure, unyielding resolve. He had made his choice back when he rejected the commander's offer. Now he would see it through. He would protect them. He would protect their world, no matter the cost. Taking a deep, shuddering breath that felt like drawing in fire, Naruto began to draw the swirling golden energy inwards, not projecting it outwards to shield or strike, but pulling it deep within himself, concentrating it, compressing it, preparing for one final, desperate gamble. The golden aura around him intensified, becoming almost solid, the intricate seals burning brighter than ever. The final confrontation wasn't just coming, it was here, and he was ready to bet everything. End of Chapter 9 extended. Chapter 10, The Otsutsuki's End. Silence stretched taut over the battlefield, a fragile skin over a chasm of dread. Above, the Starbreaker cannon pulsed with reality-warping energy, its light eclipsing the sun, promising oblivion. Below, the remnants of the allied shinobi forces watched, breaths held, prayers caught in throats. Before the cannon, hovering between the indifferent might of the Otsutsuki flagship and the ravaged earth, stood Naruto Uzumaki. The golden energy no longer swirled wildly around him. It flowed inwards, drawn into his core, compressing, intensifying. The intricate seals covering his form glowed with blinding brilliance. He felt the power coalescing, an ocean of celestial energy merging with his own stubborn, indomitable chakra, his human will acting as the crucible. He wasn't rejecting the Otsutsuki power anymore. He was claiming it, bending it, infusing it with his own purpose, his own soul. He felt the echoes of his ancestors, the whispers of cosmic power, but they no longer tempted or terrified him. They were a part of him, just as the ramen shop, the Hawkage monument, and the faces of his friends were parts of him. Opposite him, the horned Otsutsuki commander watched, that cruel smirk fixed on his face, radiating absolute confidence in the weapon charging above. He saw Naruto drawing the power inwards and scoffed. Futile vessel, compressing that energy will only make your demise more spectacular. Nothing can withstand the Starbreaker. Naruto didn't reply. His eyes, glowing with celestial blue fire, were fixed on the cannon. He felt its energy reach a critical peak. He felt the commander's cold intent. He felt the desperate hope radiating from below. He drew strength from it all, the love of his friends, the sacrifices of the fallen, the fierce determination to protect his home, and even the alien power thrumming in his veins. He was Naruto Uzumaki, the knucklehead ninja. He was the Jinchuriki, the outcast. He was the hero, and yes, he was Otsutsuki. He was all of it. "This is my power," he roared, the sound ripping through the tense silence. "Mine to wield, mine to protect with." He thrust his hands forward, palms open towards the charging cannon. The compressed golden energy within him erupted outwards, not as a shield, but as a focused, concentrated beam of pure will and power. It wasn't just Otsutsuki energy. It was his asterisk energy, infused with the Rasengan's principles of rotation and compression, amplified to an impossible degree, carrying the weight of every bond he cherished. It formed a colossal, golden, spiraling sphere of destructive creation, a tailed beast bomb Rasen forged from celestial power and human spirit. Otsutsuki Art, Planetary Rasen Shuriken. The golden star shot upwards, meeting the descending beam of the Starbreaker cannon head-on midway between the flagship and the Earth. The collision was blinding. Sound ceased to exist, crushed by the sheer magnitude of the energy release. A sphere of pure white light expanded rapidly, vaporizing smoke, clouds, and debris. Reality itself seemed to buckle under the strain. Shinobi below were thrown back by the pressure wave, shielding their eyes, unable to comprehend the forces unleashed above. Inside the maelstrom, Naruto felt like he was being torn apart. The feedback from the colliding energies was immense, agony lancing through every nerve. His golden aura flickered violently, threatening to extinguish. He poured more power, more will into his attack, fueled by images, Uruka's smile, Kakashi's guidance, Sakura's determination, Hinata's faith, Sasuke's challenging glare. He wouldn't fail them. The Starbreaker beam, designed to sterilize continents, faltered. The planetary Rasen Shuriken impossibly held its ground, then began to push Asterisk back. The spiraling golden energy tore into the dark power of the cannon, disrupting its cohesion. Cracks appeared not just on the beam, but on the colossal cannon itself. The Otsutsuki commander's smirk vanished, replaced by stunned disbelief. Impossible, no mere vessel. With a final deafening roar from Naruto, the planetary Rasen Shuriken overwhelmed the Starbreaker beam. It surged upwards, engulfing the cannon. The colossal weapon fractured, groaned, and then detonated in a cataclysmic explosion that dwarfed all previous blasts. The shockwave ripped through the flagship, tearing off huge sections of its hull, sending secondary explosions cascading across its surface. The ship listed heavily, crippled, its primary weapon destroyed. The immediate threat of annihilation was gone. Naruto plummeted from the sky, the golden aura extinguished, his body battered, chakra utterly depleted, consciousness fading. But before darkness took him, strong arms caught him. Sasuke, Sharingan deactivated, breathing heavily, had used his last reserves to reach him. Below, a collective gasp of relief and awe swept through the allied forces. They had stared into the abyss, and Naruto had pulled them back. The destruction of the Starbreaker cannon and the crippling of the flagship broke the Otsutsuki's momentum. Seeing their ultimate weapon fail and their commander momentarily stunned seemed to sow confusion, and for the first time, perhaps even fear among the invaders. The horned commander recovered quickly, his disbelief replaced by incandescent rage, his eyes fixed on the falling Naruto and the intervening Sasuke. "Insolent insects, you will pay for this defiance," he shot towards them, intent on finishing the job himself. But he never reached them. A wall of sand erupted, blocking his path, Gaara, injured but resolute, back in the fight. Simultaneously, Kakashi, Darui, and Chijiro intercepted him, launching coordinated attacks. The remaining Kage and elite shinobi, galvanized by the turning tide, rallied the allied forces. "Now," roared the third Hokage, his voice carrying across the field. "They falter, push them back, fight for your homes, fight for the future." Hope rekindled, the shinobi surged forward with renewed ferocity. They engaged the Otsutsuki ground forces, who now lacked the overwhelming fire support from above. Sasuke, after ensuring Naruto was safely retrieved by medics, Hinata and Sakura rushing to his side, rejoined the fray, his depleted state compensated for by cold fury. He moved like a phantom, targeting Otsutsuki elites, his Sharingan predicting their moves, his blade finding purchase. The final stage of the battle became a brutal, grinding affair. The Otsutsuki were still incredibly powerful, but without their leader coordinating and their superweapon looming, they fought as individuals, their eerie coordination fractured. The allied forces, fighting with the desperation of those defending their homes and fueled by Naruto's sacrifice, pressed their advantage relentlessly. The Horned Commander, engaged by multiple Kage-level opponents, found himself truly challenged for the first time. Kakashi's tactical genius, Gaara's absolute defense, Darui's speed and power, Chijiro's swordsmanship, together, they forced the commander onto the defensive. He lashed out with devastating attacks, injuring them further, but they refused to yield, buying time, wearing him down. Meanwhile, Naruto drifted in and out of consciousness on a stretcher behind the lines. Sakura's hands glowed with green medical chakra, desperately trying to stabilize his ravaged body and replenish his non-existent reserves. Hinata held his hand, tears silently tracing paths through the grime on her face, whispering words of encouragement only he could hear. In the twilight of his mind, Naruto wasn't fighting anymore. He saw himself standing in a vast, empty space, stars wheeling around him. Before him stood two figures, one a younger version of himself, grinning, defiant, clad in orange, the other, a tall, pale figure radiating calm, golden energy, undeniably Otsutsuki, yet somehow familiar, serene. The Otsutsuki figure inclined its head. "You have fought well, inheritor." The younger Naruto scowled. "Who are you? Get out of my head." "I am a reflection," the Otsutsuki figure replied, its voice like distant chimes. "A part of the power you now wield, the heritage you tried to deny, then sought to control." "I didn't deny it," young Naruto protested. I'm me, Naruto Uzumaki." And yet the Otsutsuki continued calmly, "It was the acceptance of this power, fused with your own will, that allowed you to prevail. You did not conquer it, you harmonized with it." Naruto, the one hovering between consciousness and oblivion, understood. He hadn't won by rejecting his bloodline or by fully succumbing to it. He had won by accepting both asterisk parts of himself. The stubborn, loud-mouthed ninja with unbreakable bonds and the inheritor of celestial power. They weren't mutually exclusive, they were both asterisk him. He felt a sense of peace settle over him, a profound acceptance. The power within him wasn't a curse or a burden to be controlled. It was simply a part of who he was, a tool he could choose to use for good, guided by the heart and spirit forged in Konoha. The battlefield, the tide had fully turned. The Otsutsuki commander, finally overwhelmed by the relentless cage assault and perhaps a well-aimed particle style from Anoki, was struck down, his form dissolving into fatting particles. With their leader gone, the remaining Otsutsuki forces broke completely. Some tried to flee back to the crippled ships, only to be intercepted and cut down. Others fought with berserk fury, quickly overwhelmed by the sheer numbers and renewed spirit of the Allied forces. The flagship, heavily damaged, began a slow, uncontrolled descent, eventually crashing miles away in a distant mountain range. As the last Otsutsuki warrior fell, an exhausted, ragged cheer rose from the Allied shinobi forces. It wasn't a cheer of triumph, but of survival, of relief, thick with the grief for those lost. They had faced extinction and against all odds endured. Later, as the first rays of dawn painted the smoke-filled sky with hues of orange and pink, Naruto finally awoke fully. He was in a medical tent, bandages covering much of his body. The golden aura was gone, but he felt different, calmer, centered. He felt the faint, dormant thrum of the Otsutsuki power within him, no longer alien or threatening, but simply present, a part of his own chakra signature. Hinata was asleep in a chair beside him, her hand still loosely holding his. Sakura was conferring quietly with Shizune nearby. Sasuke stood silhouetted in the tent entrance, looking out at the dawn, his back to Naruto. Naruto slowly sat up, wincing. He looked at his own hands, flexing his fingers. They were just hands again, human hands, but he knew the power was still there, integrated, accepted. He wasn't just the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki anymore. He wasn't just the child of prophecy. He wasn't just an Otsutsuki descendant. He was Naruto Uzumaki, who carried all of that within him, defined not by his origins or his power, but by his choices, his actions, his bonds. He had faced the gods, faced the enemy within, and found his own path. He had protected his home. He smiled, a genuine, weary smile. The war was over. The healing could begin. And he finally knew, truly knew who he was. End of Chapter 10 *. Epilogue: A New Dawn. Months bled into a year following the day the sky burned. The scars on the land remained, vast craters and twisted ruins serving as grim monuments to the Otsutsuki invasion and the devastating war for survival. But amidst the lingering sorrow for the countless lives lost, a new spirit bloomed across the elemental nations, one of unity, resilience, and shared purpose. The Allied shinobi forces, forged in the crucible of annihilation, did not disband. Instead, they transformed. Villages that were once rivals now worked side by side, sharing resources, knowledge, and manpower. Teams composed of leaf, sand, cloud mist, and stone shinobi patrolled borders together, rebuilt infrastructure together, and trained together. The cage met regularly, not as wary competitors, but as genuine partners navigating the challenges of a changed world. The Otsutsuki threat had been a terrifying catalyst, shattering old paradigms and forcing the birth of a fragile but hopeful global cooperation. Konoha, the epicenter of the initial invasion and the final battle, bore the deepest scars but also showed the most vibrant signs of rebirth. Under the guidance of the Hokage and with aid pouring in from across the nations, the village was slowly rising from the ashes. New buildings climbed towards the sky, timber frames replacing shattered stone. The sounds of hammers and saws mingled with the laughter of children, a testament to the indomitable spirit of the leaf. Naruto Uzumaki stood on the newly repaired Hokage monument, gazing out over the rebuilding village. The wind ruffled his blonde hair, shorter now, carrying the scent of sawdust and damp earth. The overwhelming golden aura was gone, the celestial power settled deep within him, dormant but present, an accepted part of his being. He looked healthier, the physical toll of the final battle finally healed, though the memories remained etched in his mind. He was no longer met with fear or suspicion by the villagers below. Gratitude, awe, and a quiet respect had replaced the whispers and sideways glances. He was the hero of the Fourth Great Shinobi War, the war against the gods, the one who had stood against annihilation and saved them all. His Otsutsuki heritage, once a source of terror and confusion, was now viewed differently, not as a sign of monstrosity, but as the source of the incredible power he had chosen to wield in defense of humanity. Footsteps approached from behind. He didn't need to turn to know who it was. Starring contests with the horizon again, Dobi, Sasuke Uchiha's voice was dry but lacked its usual bite. He stood beside Naruto, his single arm clad in black, his gaze sweeping over the village. Naruto grinned, just admiring the view, team. Looks better than the last time we were up here. Sasuke gave a non-committal grunt, but a faint softening around his eyes betrayed his agreement. The shared trauma, the fight for survival, had irrevocably changed their dynamic, eroding the sharp edges of their rivalry, leaving behind a deeper, quieter understanding. Sasuke had seen Naruto's choice, his rejection of power for the sake of bonds, and it had resonated with his own complex journey. "They're calling you the Celestial Shinobi," Sasuke remarked, glancing at Naruto. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Yeah, well, it's better than Demon Fox, I guess. He sighed, his expression turning more serious. It still feels weird, this power inside me. It's quiet now, but it's their asterisk different. Power is power, Sasuke stated simply. What matters is how you use it. You made your choice. There was a finality in his tone and acceptance. Later, Naruto sat with Hinata by the small pond in the rebuilt Hyuga compound, watching dragonflies skim the water. Her hand rested gently in his, her presence a source of quiet strength and unwavering support. The war had forged an unbreakable bond between them, her faith having been a crucial anchor during his darkest moments of doubt. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? She asked softly, her Byakugan deactivated, her dark eyes full of warmth. He squeezed her hand. Yeah, better than okay, Hinata. He looked at their joined hands. It's just, everything's different now. I'm asterisk different, knowing where this power comes from, knowing what else might be out there. Hinata leaned her head against his shoulder. You're still Naruto-kun, you proved that. You chose us, you chose Earth. That power doesn't define you, your heart does. He smiled, leaning into her touch. Thanks, Hinata, I needed to hear that. He knew she was right. His core identity hadn't changed, but his understanding of himself and his place in the world had expanded dramatically. His role had indeed shifted. While still a Konoha shinobi, his unique heritage and power gave him insights others lacked. He spent time with Kakashi, now officially the 6th Hokage, Hiruzen having finally retired, Shikamaru and researchers, poring over scrolls recovered from the crashed Otsutsuki ship, trying to understand the invaders' origins, their technology, their goals, and most importantly, if others like them existed. He learned fragments about the Otsutsuki clan, celestial beings who traveled between dimensions, planting god trees, harvesting chakra from worlds to attain power and immortality. He learned that the ones who attacked Earth were likely just one faction, perhaps even rogue elements, or perhaps the vanguard of something larger. The universe felt terrifyingly vast, filled with potential threats far beyond anything the shinobi world had ever conceived. This knowledge settled heavily upon him. He wasn't just a protector of Konoha anymore. He felt a responsibility for the entire planet, a guardian against threats from beyond the stars. He was, in a strange way, a bridge, a human heart fused with Otsutsuki power, understanding both the fragility of mortal life and the terrifying scale of cosmic forces. He trained relentlessly, not just his ninjutsu but his control over the dormant celestial power. He learned to draw upon it more consciously, more efficiently, without letting it overwhelm his own chakra or identity. He discovered new applications, subtle manipulations of energy-enhanced senses, abilities that felt both innate and newly learned. He trained with Sasuke, their spars pushing both to new heights, preparing for dangers unknown. One quiet evening, Naruto stood before the memorial stone, tracing the names carved there, names of friends, mentors, comrades lost in countless battles, including the most recent, devastating war. The weight of their sacrifice felt immense. He thought of Guy slowly recovering but unlikely to ever fight again. He thought of Kitsuchi, his future stolen. He thought of the thousands whose names weren't even known, who had given their lives defending their world. He closed his eyes, feeling the cool stone beneath his fingertips, feeling the quiet thrum of power within his own core. He wasn't afraid of it anymore. He wasn't defined by it. He was its master, guided by the lessons learned, the bonds forged, the sacrifices witnessed. He opened his eyes, looking up at the twilight sky, stars beginning to prick the deepening blue. Somewhere out there, beyond the veil of their atmosphere, other threats might lurk, other Otsutsuki, beings of unimaginable power. The peace they had fought so hard for felt fragile, precious. A new resolve settled within him, calm and absolute. He was Naruto Uzumaki, shinobi of the leaf, inheritor of Otsutsuki power. He was the bridge, he was the guardian. I'll protect this world, he whispered to the names on the stone, to the stars above. My friends, my family, my home, I'll face whatever comes. I won't let anyone suffer like that again, that's my promise. He turned away from the stone, his silhouette framed against the lights of the rebuilding village, ready to face the new dawn and whatever challenges it might bring, armed with the strength of two worlds, guided by a human heart. End of epilogue.